What do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Ah! Ah! My God!
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everybody, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, why ever you're doing it, and however many times you plan on doing it again. Welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. I'm Legal Vices, and this is day 6, the morning of the Florida versus YNW Melly double murder trial. Yesterday was a show to be missed. Nothing happened. It was a complete interesting sort of a waste. I don't want to say waste, but it was kind of a waste. Before we get going today, first things first, the cocktail of the day. Today's cocktail is called Between the Sheets because that's how Legal Vices rolls. Take 2 ounces. This is all doubled, by the way. 2 ounces of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Add it to your mixing bowl, cup, whatever. Then add 2 ounces of triple sec or Cointreau. Add that in. Then add another 2 ounces of some amazing cognac. Then, once all that's in, add some rum, a nice white rum. I'm using the Bacardi white rum that I keep in my freezer. Add 2 ounces of that. Add that in there. Drop your ice into the mixing cup. Then add the top cup and then go to town. Give it a good shake. This is what you need to do to get it all mixed up and chilled and slightly diluted. Boom. Then when you're ready to do that, now that I've sealed it, that's funny. There we go. Boom. Drop that out. Grab your strainer and strain it into a cocktail cup, cocktail glass, right there. Boom. And that is the Between the Sheets. Finish it off with just a couple of dried lemon wheels and enjoy. That is something that will get you between the sheets. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. That's a great cocktail. Enjoy it. Again, it's got the heavy on the lemon juice, so it's fresh and it's good for the summer. Those hot days, get some of that nice, chilled, sparkling lemon. Great. And without further ado, let's bring up our guest for the day, Chandler Remington. Hi, Chandler. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Or well, good evening to you.
It is. It is a good evening. And we're here. We survived yesterday.
Somehow. I don't know.
I'm not really sure how. I'm sort of trying to block yesterday out of my memory. Excuse me while I rearrange the alcohol here.
Well, we got to talk about a lot of really good movies. We got to talk about Dune. So I would say all in all, it wasn't a total waste.
Yeah, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about the trial because there wasn't much to talk about.
No, there wasn't.
We had a drive-by Steve Gosney sighting.
That was nice. I always
story.
love having Steve.
And here we are today. There is literally nothing to recap from yesterday. We had a woman that testified there were some cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't say exactly who had the cell phones, who they belonged to, but there were some cell phones involved. Yeah. What else did we talk about? That is literally the walkaway I got from yesterday. Is there were a couple of cell phones, and they couldn't say exactly who they belonged to and who used them.
That was pretty much it. I think there was another specialist that came on that talked about some other tower stuff, and I think we had an FBI guy, and he didn't really have a lot of interesting things to say. So, yeah, I wish I could offer some unique perspective from the trial yesterday for viewers today who missed it, but you didn't miss much if you didn't watch.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
KT says, Legal Vices, are you surprised the mistrial was denied? No, not really surprised. Strangely disappointed.
Yeah, I feel
I
like
think there were grounds for it. I'm sorry.
I feel like it would have been a better outcome, but then again, the defendant would have had to go back to jail, and another trial would have come up again, and then the prosecution could have corrected their mistakes, etc. So, I mean, perhaps it would not have been the best outcome. I just think there were grounds for it.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have given the mistrial, there would have been no question that it was the correct decision. But again, I guess
I
he
agree.
issued the order. He ordered the dismissing, so I guess they wanted to go ahead with it because he gave that option on Thursday. Talk to your client and see if he still wants to go through with this. So I guess they did, and then he denied it. So that's where we are, and
well, it's possible
reserved
that the
for
defendant.
appeal.
It's possible the defendant didn't want to go through with the mistrial.
Well, then they wouldn't have issued the order denying the motion for the mistrial. They would have just withdrawn it. So,
that's a good point.
They've got the grounds preserved for appeal. So there you go. Just in case it goes wrong. But there's not a lot of things we've to prove the case at this point. Booterberry says, I feel bad for the juror that was sick and had to haul her ass in just to sit out most of the day. Right. She got food poisoning over the weekend, apparently, and had to leave the hospital. And she got there in the afternoon, and then nothing happened in the afternoon.
Yeah, that was weirdly one of the more exciting developments of the trial, was that some juror got food poisoning, which, if that's the most exciting thing that's happening during a murder trial involving a rapper, then, I mean, that's the thing. It's like we saw it during Murdoch. It's like there are so many murder trials that are really, really boring.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that would be the case necessarily, because murder is, it's exciting, and true crime is fascinating to people. But all in all, it's everything is very procedural, and it's just not as exciting as people think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know where they're going with it, but they literally have not proved a single thing that ties the defendant to the vehicle, to any weapons used, to any shell casings that were found, to anything. There's not been a single shred of evidence I've seen that ties him in any way whatsoever definitively to this crime.
Which is unfortunate, because that is their job. As the state, they are supposed to prove that he is tied to something. So, I mean, I don't see it going in the direction that they want it to go in.
Well, I mean, there's still 3 weeks left of the prosecution's case, so anything could happen between now and then.
That's true.
They should be warming up. They're giving us a countdown here. Well, now Law and Crime right now doesn't have the court feed up. They're just showing their regular broadcast stuff. So we're waiting for the court to start, and as soon as that starts, we'll bring everything up. But in the meantime, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. That's what we're here for. That's your mission these days. Somehow I ended up with 300 new subscribers overnight, so that was pretty dang cool. So we're at 37,222 right now.
Oh, I love that for you. That's fantastic.
We're pushing to 40,000. It's not out of sight, and then it's on to 10. On to 10 more to 50,000. But anyway, like this video. We've got 333 of you here, 208 likes so far, 100 and however many of you haven't done your job. So we got nothing to do but sit here and talk and chat and chill out until court starts. So take a tenth of a second and just go bam and click that like button, and then subscribe to me if you haven't already done so, and subscribe to Chandler Remington at Remy_legal. That's where you have to go to find her. And you won't regret it. And like every video she's ever done, like all of my videos. And make sure, if you think you're subscribed to one or both of us, make sure you still are, because YouTube likes to take away subscribers unilaterally. And then take our stupid poll. Today may be the second stupidest poll ever in the history of my channel. But did you hit like and subscribe? Yes, of course. I'm doing it now, and obviously it was never a question. The reason that's there is because I had a really funny one, but then for some reason it had an error loading and it didn't save it, and then I was just demoralized. So I just said screw it and made that stupid one.
Boo. Well, I mean, I like the stupid poll. I'm fond of the stupidity of it, but I do want to know what the other one had to say.
I'm just noticing that my video feed is extraordinarily weird today.
What do you mean?
Because like the pattern on my shirt makes it look super grainy, and then like the salt and pepper beard thing makes it look super grainy. The straw pattern on my hat makes it look super grainy to me.
I noticed it yesterday. You've been a little bit grainy. I don't know exactly what's going on over there in Korea. I don't know if you're dematerializing into the ether, but maybe there's a setting that you can adjust.
Yeah, let me see here. Let's go down here and let's bump the sharpness back a bit.
By the
There.
way, I really liked your video on the submersible this morning. I was just watching that before I came on.
Well, that's an interesting thing. The Titan that's gone missing while looking to explore the wreck of the Titanic. They're goners. I mean, it's a recovery effort. I mean, just facts. Unless there's some ridiculous miracle. But what's going
Doubt
to
it.
be interesting is Monday. For the next Maritime Monday, and we're going to bump the trial back. We're going to start the trial late because this is an important Maritime Monday to do. So we'll start the trial like 2 hours late because we're going to follow up on this, and I'm going to have a special guest who's one of my dear friends who has some firsthand experience in surviving a submarine accident.
Oh, wow.
In the United States Navy. So he will be on here, and we'll talk about the Titan.
That sounds exciting.
What the people inside of it might be thinking, what their concerns and fears might be, what their last moments might have been like, how it could have been avoided, structural problems with the rover, or with the submersible, things like that. And then we're going to spend a good deal of time talking about his submarine accident. This is one Maritime Monday that you do not want to miss under any circumstance. You don't want to miss this Maritime Monday because it's going to be fantastic. I've been trying to find a way to get him on for quite some time, and we finally got it ironed out today.
That's
so
awesome.
That's pretty darn cool.
I'll be watching for sure.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about on Monday. And really, there's nothing to update on. It's just going to be can't find them. Ooh, we found them.
Well, I was very surprised by some of the things that you revealed in the video that you did this morning, which I hope will be picked up by a wider audience because everybody's talking about this. I mean, the idea of them all like sitting on the floor in this tiny little cramped space with this one toilet and this one porthole, and it just sounds miserable. And, a lot of people on Twitter are talking about how, I guess on like there are some people who are very unsympathetic to the rich paying to go on this adventure, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but it just sounds like it was terribly put together and it was terribly unsafe, and considering the amount of money that was put into it, the fact they used a Nintendo joystick to control the whole thing.
And Dilligaf here in chat, I know, is a submariner, so might be able to make a few comments as we go through on next Maritime Monday. Didn't it take a few weeks to find the San Juan? Yeah, and that was only, in 200 meters of water, and everybody was dead. The Kursk, the Russian sub we covered on Maritime Monday a while ago, again, like 190 meters, everybody was dead. This is thousands of feet under the ocean. So, yeah, we just don't rescue them that deep.
I think it said something like 2-point-something miles.
Yeah, just under 2.5 miles deep.
Yeah,
3,500 meters, something like that. The deepest rescue that's ever been carried out was in 1973 at a depth of 1,575 feet. This is nearly 10 times that deep. So,
it's not
unless they found a way to come up.
Right, but even if they did, there's no way for them to really exit, is there? So they would have to be found somehow. They would still be slow suffocating.
Gigantic bolts, 17 bolts that have bolted them in from the outside. So they clearly didn't learn anything from the Apollo 1 mission where they bolted them into the craft and it caught on fire and cooked the astronauts alive on the launch pad.
No, clearly not. And then you have, all of the people on board. So you have this one guy who's piloting the whole thing, and then you have these 4 people who, they're supposed to be the specialist now. So they're trained in how to like open and close the portal, like that, or not the portal, the whatever it's called. And that's supposed to help. I mean, they don't have any nautical training. They don't have any knowledge necessarily. I mean, I think one guy does, but
I mean, quite frankly, the best case scenario for that is that they went down, there was some structural problem, they reached the crushed depth, and it just crushed them that fast. That's the best thing. All right, it looks like we're in court here, so let's bring this up. Let me see here. Present screen.
Oh boy. What will happen today?
A lot of people talking there. All right, I guess they're not really discussing it. They're just kind of hanging out there. When they back off, we'll do something. But before we get too far behind, let's read a couple of the super chats. Daily Quick Buy says, okay, we have some dead time. Want to talk Titan some? Well, for example, that's what we've been doing. Why are carbon composites are one of the stupidest materials to use in DSV? Would you like to know more? I actually don't know the answer to that question. I just know it's 5-inch thick carbon fiber wrap.
That doesn't seem like enough at all. I don't know anything about, submariners, but, that doesn't sound like enough.
Flux, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. They got the full Titanic experience. Eesh.
The irony of that, Flux. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
And Jeff Moser, I have a feeling this will be the new MH370. Well, that's a big plane that disappeared somewhere. I mean, this is a 21-foot cylinder that's floating somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So it is literally a needle in a haystack. And Adara the Wholesome, I am the Vice Rax. I speak for the trees. And for some reason, they're speaking legalese. Oh, that was nice. That was cute. I like that.
We have a poet in our midst.
We do.
Thank you, Adara.
Well, and you are the Vice Rax because you have the highest super chat so far of the day at $5.50. So I will make the adjustments. And that's the quirky little thing we do. That's the fun little thing we do. The current high super chatter gets the title Vice Rax for the day. If you match it, you should have done more. It's just whoever holds that position holds it against equal value or lesser. So if you want to be the Vice Rax for the day, just 1 cent more than that, and you win. There at the end of the day, you win nothing. But it's just a fun little thing. And also our fun little thing, we unlock the Doggo Cam achievement at $100. Those are the things. And we throw on the Law and Crime cuck cage over there, little logo simultaneously with Doggo Cam. Those are the little things we do here just to keep it interesting. They're not keeping it interesting. They need to hurry up.
No, yesterday. So if you missed yesterday, what you missed was a lot of sidebars. It was mostly sidebars with a little bit of court. And I can't imagine how frustrated the jury must have felt. We were just kind of sitting there staring at walls, staring at one wall and then another wall, sometimes the ceiling, sometimes the flags. It was very interesting. So we talked about movies a lot. And, who knows what they were talking about in their sidebars. And
you didn't watch any of the movies we talked about watching, did you?
I slept a lot because I needed it.
I didn't. So, yeah, I guess we should talk about that too. How we're going to be handling this trial moving forward. We're going to go back to the way we started. Today, we're just going to do the morning session. We're going to shut it down after the morning session. When they break for lunch, we'll call it quits. Tomorrow, we'll come back and we will do the afternoon session of today. We'll speed it up. We'll do a 1.25 speed. We'll skip all the breaks. We'll skip all of this sidebar nonsense. And we'll catch up to the morning stream and we'll finish that out live. And then we'll lather, rinse, and repeat the next day. So we'll always be half a day behind.
And no OJ tomorrow, right?
We can do it for an hour if you want.
I'm down.
All right. We'll do an hour of OJ before so people don't miss it too much.
Well, we did just get to Barry Sheck, so I feel like it might be a little bit more exciting than what's going on here. So
this is such a good cocktail.
Wait, so what's in that one again? It's rum and lemon?
Equal portions of rum, triple sec or Cointreau, Hennessy, and then half a part of lime juice.
Well, it sounds better than straight Hennessy, that's for sure.
It's debatable. I prefer my whiskey straight, but we're doing the cocktails for people. I make a good cocktail, so yeah.
Well, that's apparent. That's readily apparent. You make a lot of very good cocktails.
Making cocktails are good. They're fun. Got the well-stocked bar in the house, so I just do them. A Christian.
Sorry.
They're going to feed him to the lions. She's talking more these days. She's
a little chattier.
Yeah.
predict we'll get bored and find amusement in the subtitles.
Guilty peak factors.
You missed a good one yesterday.
I know. I missed that, and then I missed what they were saying because you were laughing. I can't remember what it was. You were laughing about it, and so I missed them both.
I just had to blurt it out.
What was it? I don't remember.
Oh, it was something like, I know the word pussy was in it, but pussycat. Don't censor us, YouTube.
They censor us. They're a bunch of pussies too. All right, 507 people here as we're sort of waiting for things to get underway. You just approached like 30 seconds ago. What are you approaching about now? And why did my voice just go up an entire octave and a half? Let's try that again. You just went to the sidebar 30 seconds ago. Why do you need to go up there again? She is weird the way she hunches over. Did you see that clip of her like sniffing all over?
Yeah, what was up with that? That was so weird. It was bizarre. It was a little unhinged.
Yes, Your Honor. It needed to be sidebar, but the state just advised. If the court recalls yesterday, I was inquiring with the witness whether or not he, Miramar Police Department had any other software to test the results of their Celebrite download on.
Oh, good no. God. We're going to talk about software used to break down cell phone data dumps. This is going to be fun.
That there was
totally thrilling.
Another software in June of this year, which the state did not disclose, purportedly because we asked for discovery to be closed, even though the state opposed the closing of the discovery and the court denied closing discovery. Nonetheless, the state indicates that it failed to meet that discovery obligation because we were asking to close discovery, but wants now to introduce through another witness the fact
now they're arguing a discovery violation
in June of this year. We would object to that admission based upon the discovery violation and the ambush that would ensue.
So you're alleging there's a discovery violation, so you allege that I need to do riches in here and just find out whether what you're saying is true and not true, and whether it's inadvertent or intentional, and make some decisions. You heard what the counsel suggested, so what are you telling me?
Yes. So Your Honor, in terms of there was an additional evaluation that was done, this was done, and the only reason why it's even coming up is because of counsel's questioning. So based on counsel's questioning and asking if there was additional or other ways to prove it, a different witness, Detective Moretti, did a second analysis.
Kara says, I just want to know what kind of shampoo she uses.
About it, and did this. They did not have an additional software.
The
program.
prosecutor?
Reiki. Miramar Police then subsequently obtained the license for Reiki.
She does have
Rebecca
lovely
wants
hair.
to know why Raven's hair is tucked in. Maybe heard you talking about the attorney's hair and she forgot her brush today.
The witness to go and do an additional download of the phone on that. So that was done in June of 2023. On that, the phone, everything is the same. The only difference is there's additional location data that is on the new download that was not on the prior download. So there's more information on that. None of that is exculpatory, which is anything to say that the defendant was not at the scene of the homicide and not there on that. The state doesn't have it in my possession yet. My understanding is it will be dropped off later this afternoon.
So, is it fair to say then that defense requested whatever downloads there were and a download, the Celebrite download?
See, they approached. We should not be hearing this.
The first one,
Yes.
but there had been a second download done.
Yeah, we should be hearing like a hair dryer noise instead.
Yeah.
It's not yet even been turned over to the state. I'm waiting for
Cody
it
the
from
Bum
detectives
with the $5 super chat. At what point do you let off on objections to prevent the jury from being overly annoyed at you?
2 weeks ago.
When they become petty, but they're giving significant
trial
objections.
starting, you still were having a download done.
In terms of if there's
Yes.
any other information.
The Morticia Lurch hybrid is Raven.
Make sure that that was fully explored and turn that over to defense.
And so that it has been turned over to them, so the defense doesn't know anything about it. And then defense counsel asks questions about other possible programs that they might have had, because he doesn't know if there are any or not. And the witness, Zelman,
Yes.
answers that they don't have it. And
Silent PS. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. I know, me too. I have that same problem.
Right,
Just hate me because I'm fucking gorgeous.
you've already run a second program.
Fist
through a
bump.
different,
I used to just look at you until I tried Pantene.
Yes, so the defense didn't depose Detective Zeller because then they could have asked questions. But
the old-
does not now
I bought
have
those commercials.
additional software. that
Pantene
is
Pro
based
V
on.
commercials.
So they chose not to do so on that.
Question
Yeah, the
comes
jurors
back
aren't
to
here yet.
When this second download was done on different software, that was just 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
When did you found out about it?
I still don't have a copy of it. I was talking
Yeah,
to the detective.
We only get
last
drunk
night
once a month
on
around
it.
here.
In terms of the download being done, I have to look and see exactly.
I'm a little strange when I'm
on the
drunk.
date and for what he communicated to me about the results.
Who asked?
Well, congratulations. Our F Friday
was
stream got
discussed
age gated.
with
We are
the
now no
detective
longer
if
under
there's
18
any other
safe.
Information, if there's any updates to the Celebrate program, as Detective Zeller testified to, that sometimes downloads are redone once there is updates to the software.
Gee, your hair smells terrific.
So this is new information that Detective Zeller doesn't know about.
My shampoo of choice back when I made the choice to have hair was Pert. I love the smell of Pert.
I actually know about that reference because my mom told me about it.
What was that?
Gee, your hair smells terrific. That was an actual shampoo name. That's hilarious.
Sometime the week
No, that was the
May
that was the tagline.
Oh, it
Gee, your
was?
hair
1st
smells
or
terrific.
23rd.
What was the shampoo?
Sometime at that, during the course of that
Hang on just a second.
as to when the actual analysis was done, I couldn't tell you right now, so I don't have it yet.
Oh no, it was the name of the shampoo.
But this is analogous to, for
That's what I
example,
thought.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was the name of the shampoo.
cross-examine a witness about evidence that was tested or not tested. If
Because
they
they made fun of it on The
before,
Simpsons.
then the state would be
When
able
one of
to
was it
go
Patty or
forth and send
Selma
additional items for
was using a
testing.
product called the Gee, your lips look hairless or something like that.
That's pretty good.
To your knowledge, there's no cutoff on this.
Correct.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. There were 2 questions that the court just asked the state, which I noticed were not answered. The first was, who asked for it to be done? The second was, when did
It's just you, Ashley. No one else is hearing crackling.
Neither
Maybe your house is on fire.
question was directly answered. Both answers were
If it's
evasive.
me, my new mic is in the mail and coming on
If I
Friday.
asked a question that precipitated the state going and doing further investigation, one, we again keep arguing that that is an ambush that affects the fairness of the trial. And that's why there needs to be a discovery cutoff. But also, that's not what occurred here. The state's discovery obligation is triggered by the rules, not by questions I put to a witness during trial. So if the state was aware of the existence of the fact that another download was done, whether the report was not, and that we are in trial, and then puts a witness on the stand to say, well, we're going to turn it over to you now because you asked a question. I don't think is a good faith response. One, we need a discovery cutoff. And we need one to be put in place now so that this propensity for ambush is not innate. Also, that's not the case in this instance. There was an analysis done. Ms. Bradley knew about it. She knew of her obligation to turn it over. She didn't turn over the fact that it was done, nor did she turn over the report. Apparently the report she is now claiming has not yet been finalized.
No,
If the
nobody will get in
analysis
trouble.
was done, it's a download. If the download was done, then the material from that download exists. This isn't a test that's done. It's a download. So if this download was done a few weeks ago, that is the material that should be turned over. And it was not. And we would object to any reference to it. And
all right, the gist of this is they were supposed to turn over some stuff. They said they didn't have anything. They find out they have it later, and they're saying because they didn't give it to us when they were supposed to give it to us, we can't talk
and we're
about
going to
it.
discuss whether or not we're going to seek any further relief. But we would ask that the state be prohibited from engaging in this ambush. I've had it for over a month
Patty
now.
the USG, your lip looks hairless?
No, so I have to look at the notes on that and answer on, so if Your Honor wants me to respond on those, I can go and check exact dates on emails.
That's fine. You can check the dates and that type of thing.
Yeah, the
Right now,
prosecution continues to be super sketchy here.
Detective Moretti's not anticipated to testify.
Discovery violations are not cool.
We'll talk about that later in the day.
Sure.
Okay?
You know, we also move for a discovery.
Understood. I heard it. I defer ruling on it. All
Thanks.
right. Let's bring the jury in, please.
All right, the jury's coming in.
Witness resume his seat.
Sure.
And while the jury's coming in, some people in chat were mentioning there's an update on the sub case where there was an SOS tapping. It's not actually tapping out SOS in Morse code. They're saying it's just a regular, repetitive banging.
Bring the jury in.
It would be the
Which could
SOS.
be anything.
It would be the ... .. tapping. And they're saying it's a regular type of sound that's repeating, which could be an SOS type banging.
Or it could be something else, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could be anything. It could be another ship. It could be anything.
Exactly.
But if it is, dang, you know. And see, I'm inclined to say maybe it's not, because these are people that would know what SOS is and how to bang it out. But
Reasonably.
let's hope for the best. I hope I am found to be horrifically wrong.
Expect the worst, hope for the best.
And like I mentioned in my video I just posted, if some of them happen to not make it, that leaves more oxygen for other people.
That's one
But
way to get it.
As we learned during the Mignonette case, you cannot help others along their journey to the afterlife to preserve your own life.
Right. Or that historic cannibal case from the late 1800s.
The two-party case from what?
The cannibal case from,
Yes, that was the Mignonette case where poor
Mignonette.
Yes, where
Yes.
poor
You're right.
Richard, not Richard, was it Richard Patterson?
Something like that.
Where he was stabbed in the neck by the other two people.
Right. Yeah, I believe Ian and Rob covered that on Trials of the Century.
Yes, they did.
John, thank you.
I actually learned about that case in my undergrad pre-law class.
You'll learn about it again in law school.
I'm sure I will.
And so you heard it first here. Oh God, it's FBI guy.
I did get a question. Just discussing the
Let's see if we get the V graph or the circle graph admitted into evidence.
They anticipate the trial would conclude before the end of
It's a very skinny little tie.
Trial, the fluid process, you don't always know exactly what the next witness is or who the witness is going to be. Can you hear me?
He wasn't a thrilling witness yesterday.
Wait, he just said, I hope the trial finishes before the end of July? He did not just say that.
Start over.
Yes, start over.
I received a question about when the schedule of the trial, what it's anticipated to conclude. I spoke to the attorneys. They advised me they believe the trial would be over before the end of July. I want to remind you also that one, because the attorneys reminded me, I forgot that there's a the week of July 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, that week, we're not going to be in session. It's,
Oh, hell no. We ain't following this to the end of July.
End of June, and then pick it up again on July 10th. The week commencing Monday, July 3rd, we're not going to be in session. But the attorneys think the trial will conclude by the end of July. All right? So, when we were last
This
year.
was supposed to be 3 weeks.
That's what
It was supposed to be 12 days for the prosecution and then 4 days for the defense.
Names under oath and,
Not anymore.
finish with your correct examination.
Yes, Your Honor, if I may.
No way. We're not doing this at the end of
We
July.
just discussed about your training and experience, so remind the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in what field do you work?
I'm testifying here today in my role as a CAS asset, so cellular analysis survey team, a group that specializes in
hell no.
analysis and device location analysis.
And here's hoping it gets more interesting before
And
then.
have you used historical records to locate fugitives and missing persons before?
Yes.
Hell no, we're not following this at the end of July.
Did you
Taylorship
conduct
business is starting July
historical
24th.
analysis in this case?
I don't give a shit what's happening in the universe. We're following Taylorship business trial on July 24th.
I thought it was the
What your
26th.
analysis is.
They moved it up?
24th. No, it was always 24th. Monday the 24th.
I want to start
I thought it was
with
the same day as
and go
Boone,
over
okay.
The cell site records. Are those records provided to you?
Yes.
And so what's been previously admitted into evidence states.
Buddha berries, you stay right here.
63 and
You stay
64.
right here.
Thank you. Starting with state 63.
I'm not pissed. I'm just freaked out.
I'm going to open up some of the records and if you would be so kind to follow along.
We'll just have to figure out what the hell
So
we're going to do.
starting with
I will say your face was
what is in
priceless.
State 63, going to the tracking number 2058127. And so it's
Why would this be longer than the Johnny
here,
Depp?
when also published state 28.
Who knows? Not I.
This phone number 772-713-9807. Is that one of the phone records that you analyzed in this case?
Yes.
And states 28 is a pawn slip. Have you ever seen that one before?
No, I haven't.
Cough, cough.
So going back to the same phone number, 772-713-9807. Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what we're looking at in these phone records?
Sure. So this is a report from T-Mobile. It's an engineering report, and you may also hear it as referred to as a true caller quantum data or time in advance data. But essentially what this is it's records of, from the network's perspective, location where the phone likely was during particular times. So you'll see a series of columns on here. At the top, it explains what is contained in each column, and then you'll have a series of entries. All that is associated with a particular time. So column A in this case is end latitude, and column B is ending longitude. It says what the confidence level is, the IMSI, column E, and the IMEI. Those are numbers that are assigned to the device. So the IMSI is sort of like your SIM card. It's a subscriber number that authenticates on the network, so that when you have a cell phone, communicating with the network, the network knows that your customer is paid and they can give you network resources. The IMEI is about the device that you have in your hand.
It's been a little while since geography. So could you please explain what latitude and longitude are?
Yeah, those are coordinates on the Earth. So
It's for the jury.
Know where a particular person was at a certain point in time or whatever. Like those latitude and longitude coordinates correspond to a specific spot on the Earth. So we could plot those in any mapping software. Like we could copy and paste this in Google Maps right now, and it would drop it pin Google Maps, for instance, and say, okay, that's where latitude 25.984.685, longitude minus 80.3759.798 is here.
And is that what you use to do your analysis, just those latitude and longitude?
No, I use other information on this sheet.
So you talked about the IMSI, IMEI, and so I'm going to go scroll over. And just if you could explain. So the next column is, so we said roaming group, I think model and make would be the next columns that for you to explain.
Yeah, so the roaming group is T-Mobile records, the phone that is applied to, you can see the model, maybe it's an Apple phone, it's an iPhone 10. We'll skip to column. You can see in column K, it will say what type of record this is for, so data, which would be whether some sort of internet connection, whether you're using email or social media, or we'll say voice and data. Voice is obviously if you're making like a voice call.
Okay, so going down to row 91, is that an example of the voice and data?
Yes.
Make it a little bit bigger.
That's what she
so
said.
it's easier to see for the ladies on the jury.
Take it a little bit bigger so it's easier.
Okay, continuing up at the top again so that you can explain the columns. Which specific column are you looking at when you are analyzing these records and the data in them?
So usually one of the most important ones is the time and the date. That's column F, because often when you're doing a case, and in this specific case, I was asked, are the records consistent with certain things the detectives had wanted to know based on the investigation that they had done separately. So you need the time and date.
And it's when you're looking at this time and date, what is that telling you?
The time of the record.
Okay.
So when like column, row 2, when you see October 26, 2018 at midnight 000, you will know that the latitude longitude points attributed to that in columns A and B, or a little further down the spreadsheet, we'll see that a distance measurement from a tower that is associated with that particular date and time.
So with regards to the date and time, do you have to take into account if the records are kept in Eastern time or UTC?
These are in local time, so Eastern time.
So the time that's on here is the time that the event happens here in whatever location it's plotted in?
Yes.
Okay. So going forward, continuing across, and then which column, you talked about distance from the tower. Which column are we looking at for there?
This is what we're going to be talking about apparently till the end of fucking July. So strap in, strap on.
Cell site and
You chose this
start
trial.
services. These another name for cell site, like 4G technology for cellular providers. So depending on what technology, whether it's 3G, 4G, et cetera, 5G, they call
I do
the hardware
sympathize.
different things. For
I'm here.
function. So that's a tower, and you will know that that tower is at a certain spot in the real world. So if I know that at a certain time, column 2, whatever that time was at midnight, the phone connected to a tower named 76963, the antenna 23, I can go find where tower 76963 is, plot that on the map and say, okay, this tower is here, and the antenna is pointed in a particular direction, and at midnight, the phone was in that direction, and then we'll see if you scroll further to the right. You'll see a distance there. So in column AO, it'll say 2.96 miles. So at that time, midnight on October 26th, that phone was 2.96 miles from that tower.
Okay, so we've gone through a lot. I'm going to go and break it down a little bit in some of the things you talked about. You talked about 3G, 4G, 5G.
Yeah.
What is 3G, 4G?
different technologies for, I guess, evolutions for the phone. Each time if there's a rollout, generally there's improvements in how well the phones work, the cellular networks work.
Okay, with regards to 3G, what type of information does that limit you to? In terms of distance from the tower, if it's a 3G tower, what type of range are you working with?
Okay, well, so that does play a factor in the certainty or really see in the reports later, but this timing advance is an estimated distance from the tower, right? But there's a margin of error, a margin of uncertainty associated with it. And so at 3G, for instance, the network can only say within, depending on the type of 3G, 234 or 244 meters, what that distance is. If it's 4G, they can tell within 78 meters. They'll say, okay, this is the timing advance increment.
And in the case that we have before us today with the 772-713-9807 phone number, what types of towers and service was being used?
During the period that I reviewed and analyzed and plotted, it was exclusively 4G.
4G. So in terms of how wide is going to be your margin of error on the 4G towers?
78 meters.
78 meters. So can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury as to how that data, that distance, how that is computed?
Sure. So essentially this is it's sort of like if you think about throwing, if I had a ball and I'm playing catch with myself, throwing it off the garage and it comes back to me. So the cell tower.
He plays with his balls all the time, probably. He's a fed blowy.
And then the phone sends it back to the tower.
Phrasing.
Because the network knows
it was intentional.
I'm new to the term glowy. I've never heard that before.
We know the speed the cell signal
travels. They glow. You can tell them from a mile away. In a room full of crowded people, they just glow.
Speed by time.
Is the speed of light constant?
Yes.
The fuck?
Is that
how the fuck did we start getting talking about the speed of light? What did I just miss?
Explain that a little bit so that ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
We are asking to explain the speed of light? All right.
I was not expecting that as a question.
Speed of light. Anywhere in time.
Is he a fucking physicist?
Is the speed of light affected by foliage or trees or leaves?
Guess we have Einstein on the stand. Foliage? I think she means foliage.
Yes.
Are cell signals or service?
That's not the word.
Affected by
Is the speed of light affected by trees?
Environmental conditions.
I've entered fucking bizarro world already.
So weird.
But generally not. And if there's a change we're talking
I'm
about,
confused. I don't understand.
Meters, not miles.
So meters, not miles. And what types of environmental conditions would be required to have a change of those meters, not miles?
Well, if your phone is in a lot of buildings down here are built for hurricanes, so if there's lots of concrete walls, that could affect it. If the path that the signal takes to the phone is not a direct line, let's say it bounces off something.
Oh, Einstein would disagree with you. I mean, that's part of his 1905 statement. The speed of, I mean, literally the speed of light is constant.
Come back, so that would then increase the distance.
Okay. With regards to hurricanes.
In a vacuum. You should say in a vacuum.
Was it?
I mean, the way that would affect.
Yes, if it passes, okay. Why the fuck am I even entertaining this? Does the speed of light depend on what it's passing through? Yes.
If there are records.
As it passes through like an absorbing medium or something, like trees or water or whatnot, it is affected. But
again, so
to what extent?
A little bit about
Like a measurable extent?
Or cell phone, how it works. And you mentioned cell towers. What are cell towers or antennas?
Yeah, so obviously our cell phones don't have wires coming out of them to make a call or something.
The next witness is going to be Michio Kaku, who's going to be talking about particles and things like that.
And then Neil deGrasse Tyson, and the late Carl Sagan.
Power, and then through the network's infrastructure, the call and the data transaction throughout through its core, and then handle however you need to handle it. So a tower can be anything that has an antenna on it.
I I'm more than a little
Have
amused.
you created a demonstrative exhibit?
I wish
to
trees
show
were a
ladies and
vacuum
gentlemen
because then I
of the
plant
jury
trees in my
what
house so they
a
can keep my
cell
floor
tower
clean.
is?
Ah.
Would it help in explaining and the understanding of the testimony?
Yes.
He's got a Roomba.
No, I tell you, like, seriously, my brain is so full of useless facts for me that, like, don't affect me. That I kick ass. Are we going to sidebar all fucking ready? Wow, we're going to sidebar already. All right. So we've had questions about the speed of light and some numbers, and now we're going to a sidebar. I wonder if they're arguing over E equals MC squared.
Well, it's too bad that they remembered this time to mute the mics, because I really liked listening to their sidebar last time, even though it wasn't that fascinating.
The glowy fled. I wonder if the glowy Fed is now going to start arguing that he's found the grand theory. You know, the oh my lord!
I just wish that she said the word foliage right. I don't know.
Foliage.
Foliage. I mean, I guess that's a common mistake. I try not to be like an a-hole about stuff like that. It's just that my paralegal brain, I'm always like correcting people's grammatical errors and typo. That's just how my brain works. And so every time somebody says something wrong, I make a mental note of it because I'm a dick.
Yeah. Well, daily quick bites. Yes, the speed of light in water is lower than the speed of what? The speed of light in water is lower than the speed of light in water.
I think that was a typo.
Is the evidence
I hope so. Damn. Okay, there we go. Let me try again.
Yeah.
As evidence in the case, unless they are later received in evidence, they should not be a substitute for evidence.
Yes, the grand unifying theory. That's what they were.
Go back.
They were arguing the grand unifying theory.
For your consideration during their deliberations. This is to assist the witness.
Yes, that is true. As I said, it depends on the absorbing medium that is passing through.
Thank you. Okay, Special Agent Collins, could you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what we're looking at in this photo right here?
So this is just a generic example of what a cellular tower can be. Here you see it kind of arrays mounted on a monopole, so just a big pole.
I don't have any fucking idea, Neo Dark Matter.
You see that there's
I don't know.
on the image on the right, there's two triangular shapes.
UFOs, two triangular shapes in the sky.
Triangle shape, there's multiple pieces of equipment mounted on them. So that would be in a cell tower example that has 3 sectors. Or
wasn't there a UFO that landed in somebody's backyard in Vegas or something?
Each of those sides.
That was such a fake fucking thing.
Those are transmitters and
with
receivers.
a real alien that came out.
Can I?
I was just about to tell you that it's a touch screen, so if you touch it and you can
That's
draw on
exciting.
it as well.
Fantastic. So all of these would be part of one sector, one side. All of these would be part of one sector, and all of these. So this would have 3 sides. And if you think about like what these are doing, if you wanted to imagine that it's like a flashlight, because of the light, cell signal, all part of the electromagnetic spectrum, they have the same characteristics and properties, right? So this would be like somebody standing on top of the pole with a flashlight pointed in one direction, sending light that way. And this side is a flashlight pointed in another direction. This side is light going in another direction. That way, there's light or cell signal going in all directions to service, in this case, phones that are within the coverage area of the tower.
So you mentioned a little bit about the coverage area and the 3-sided. Going on to what's on page 4 of the demonstrative exhibit at this point. You explained the flashlights and things like that. Can you demonstrate again on this particular image?
Oh
the
god,
sector
this
one,
is the
sector
gun
2,
version
sector
of
3,
cell
Why
phones.
that's important.
So this would be
Which I mean,
discussing further.
He's going to talk for like 5 million hours on what a cell phone is.
Tower could be, so
oh
here
god.
the 3-sided tower, and you'll see
Is this necessary? Like, is this really necessary?
The direction that that flashlight is pointing, the antenna sends signal.
The speed of sound is lower than water. The speed of everything is slower in anything that would absorb the energy.
Oh, slower. That, okay, I missed the S.
0. What that means is that the flashlight is pointing 0 degrees, like out of a compass. And that would be where the coverage is the strongest, like that's the center of the beam, but it creeps out. So we will cover approximately 300 to 360 for 120 degrees on that side. Each side, if we have three, would be divided up like a pie to cover 120 degrees. That way we'll have 360 degrees of coverage for the tower. Towers don't have to be three-sided, they can be six-sided. They can be one side that covers 360.
How can you have a one-sided anything?
Network what they want.
Bullshit.
Based on what they need to. But
360 degree is not one-sided, Dick.
Is the information as to how many sides on any given tower something the FBI captures and takes note of?
The providers
I have a question.
provide that to towers.
And is that provided to the FBI?
Yes.
Is that
I'm wondering-
undone and updated so it is at
Let's say
the
that
time
none of the
where
jurors are
records
paying
were
attention to
created?
this.
Yes,
Which
like
benefit
us.
is
Could
this
you
for?
take those same records that you were given and look at the
It's,
towers that
it's
are
the
working today?
this testimony benefits the defense. Because like she's just boring the shit out of us. We don't know what the hell she's talking about. We don't care what she's talking about. She's delaying this, and we just got told that this is going to be till the end of July. We're
And
done.
are the azimuths-
This is
That's a
very
good
bad for the
answer.
Is that always part
That's
of
a
the
really
records
good
that are given to
answer.
you
Okay.
on each tower?
Yes.
I'm
That's
just
my
thinking.
opinion.
I'm just thinking if the
When
jury's
you
deciding,
pick
if
up
they
your
are the
phone
finders of fact,
and you make
this
a
should all be
call,
for the
what
benefit of the
determines
jury.
what cell tower
And if you're
the
putting
phone
on witnesses
uses?
that are boring the jury to
So the
tears,
phone picks
what is the freaking
tower
point?
that's going to connect you for its initial connection.
So
The way that
thank
does
you.
that is it,
That's a very good answer. I like that.
Even Murdoch didn't put on this level of shit.
I know. I mean, explaining how a cell phone works, how a cell phone tower works, like this isn't interesting to anybody.
looking for signal strength and signal quality. The phone's going to identify the tower
Killian.
sector. When I say sector, the tower
Dude.
and an antenna.
Chick, babe,
It offers
whatever.
a clear, strong signal. When the phone wants to
We'll assume,
call
dude,
or send text,
John Wick 4 is
that
the shit.
the antenna, the tower that
Don't
the
blame
phone's
you.
gonna reach out to. So that's very important. For what I do is
Maybe I'll do that while I watch this too. Just put John Wick in the
calls
background.
initiated. It's not based on the network or something. It's based on what the phone sees. It's based
I could
on
get
what
some
the
work
phone
done, I
sees.
guess.
It's the tower that is the clearest and strongest signal.
Does the phone always use
something
the
exciting
closest tower?
No. The phone always uses the tower with the clearest, strongest signal. Usually, or often, that is the closest tower. However, there's other things that can determine what the clearest, strongest signal is. For instance, line of sight. If the closest tower is doesn't have a clear line of sight to the device, then you may use the phone may use a tower that's slightly further away because the signal strength and signal quality are better from the antenna to the direct line of sight, for instance.
Are all the antennas and cell towers, do they look like the ones that we showed in the previous slide?
No.
What does a cell tower look like?
Yeah, I mean, whatever the companies want them to look like, right? They that's a good one because it's that I'm using this because when I identify that as a cell tower, but I'm sure everyone's seen antennas that look like they're hidden flagpoles, antennas that are mounted on the sides of buildings, up here on the roofs of buildings. They can be small antennas that are just on the tops of street lights, or they can look like anything.
In terms of the general direction that the cell tower antennas are pointed, are they at 90 degrees out or are they angled downwards towards the majority of the phone?
Usually they are tilted down.
If you saw an example of it picking a cell tower that's further away, would you look at the records and try to determine why that's happening?
So yeah, I see a red flag or something to me that stands out and it's being atypical. When I'm doing my analysis, usually I'll look further into it and say, okay, why is this not connecting to one of the towers that I expected it?
Are we learning anything?
So we've described the CDRs and the
Is anybody
information
paying
that's
attention
used
at
on
all?
those. Is that the same that you did for each and every phone in this case?
So we were looking at the
Yeah, even Melly's bored.
The engineering data, the CDRs, the call detail records are different data set.
And just explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what's the difference between the timing advance, the engineering reports, and the CDRs.
So the CDRs, or the call detail records, are records of the phone's communications, like calls and outgoing, certain types of text messages, etc. That will say date and time, the numbers involved in the call, the tower, the azimuth, etc. But it doesn't have the extra information that the engineering report does. So in the call detail records, it looks like billing records that you usually see with your phone if people actually look at their billing records. It would say tower and sector in addition to it, but it won't say distance from the tower. It won't have the latitude and longitude coordinates, or all the extra information in time in advance report. The other really important thing to delineate between those two is, I just said that the phone picks the tower that it uses based on its measurements. And so in call decal records, the tower that is used is picked by the phone. It's that first connection. In the time in advance report, the engineering data, that's the network's perspective. So that's what the network is seeing behind it. And the tower that's listed in the engineering report may not be the serving cell. It may not be the tower with the clearest, strongest signal. It could be, but it could also just be another tower.
I'm surprised this guy's sound quality is way worse than mine. Makes me better about my microphone, which I am replacing for those who are late.
Keep in mind what type of report you're looking at, because it obviously can affect the conclusions that you're doing.
So in terms of the way you illustrate the difference between a tower being used or a sector and a time in advance, or the distance measurement on that, I want to make sure it's very clear. What we're looking at right now, what does this illustrate when we see just a round circle in your report?
So this will illustrate the tower that the phone used, or if it's from a data report or the engineering report, the tower that is registered listed as seen the phone. All the green dots in the middle of this graphic, those are all cell towers. And you'll see that there's one tower in the center of the map that has a blue circle around it. So that would be the tower that the phone connected to. That's not, it's not like if you're using Google Maps and used to seeing a blue dot when you pull that out. This is not the location device. This is the tower.
Okay, and can you just, so it's clear, point out a couple of the towers that are on this map and just highlight them so it's clear what you're talking about? Because sometimes the color doesn't come across great on the screen.
So these green dots would be other towers that weren't used or weren't, that didn't see the phone. This one here in the center of the blue circle would be the tower that was listed on the report. And then this big blue circle, that's not a coverage area. That's not saying that, hey, the phone has to be somewhere in here. I'm just flagging that as saying that is the tower that was listed for report. That's the tower that was used over a cell phone.
Is it your testimony that the phone is definitely within that circle somewhere?
No, definitely not.
Why not?
That's not what this is intended to do. This is just intended to show this is the tower.
Okay. So now we're going to go into the cell site. How would you indicate that in your report?
So cell site, tower and sector, or tower and antenna. This is showing the direction that the flashlight is pointed. So this like wedge or slice of pie, or however people like to think about it, that will show the direction of the flashlight's beam. So the azimuth, the center line would be, in this case, like 180 degrees due south. And then the illustration shows the estimated like ends of the coverage area. But what's really important about this is that this is just showing the direction that the antenna is pointing, the direction of the beam. So this is, again, not showing where the phone is. In other words, I'm not saying that the phone has to be within this blue shaded area. I'm not saying that the phone has to be within the arms of this black wedge. I'm saying this is the direction that the antenna is pointing.
Are you able to tell anything about the strength of a signal from a tower?
It looks like a nipple on a really pointy boob.
No.
Why not?
That's how bored I am.
Not reflecting the records that I have.
In terms of the average,
even I didn't see that
is
one.
that something you have training and experience on? From the
Are you saying that I'm the bigger pervert out of the two of us? Because
I hope so. See you in Texas, baby.
I'll bring my raspberries.
Determination or anything that can be made about distance
Hell yeah.
from a tower just based on what cell site the phone or device is using?
You can't unsee it now, can you?
Your call detail records, you cannot tell distance.
See? I'm making it interesting. I'm contributing.
This type of illustration. If this type of illustration is used in your report, what are we looking at?
So this would be an example of the engineering
Madonna.
Report. So now we see, again, the blue wedge saying, okay, this is the sector that recorded the phone, here's the direction. that it's
Serious
pointed.
murder trial.
And then we have that distance from the sector. So the distance, whatever we can say this is, for instance, 1 mile. So a particular example would be 1 mile here. And we see that it's a certain thickness of the band because the timing advance, margin of error or size, depending on the technology, can only get down to a certain distance. So for 4G, again, it's 78 meters. For 3G, it's about 234 meters. So the size of this band will depend on the technology that you use.
So in the records in this case, what is the width of the band in your report?
78 meters.
Okay.
So in this case, what I'm expecting based on the information from the phone, from the engineering report, is that the phone would be somewhere within this band, this like the curve banana shape, whatever. That's based on the data from the engineering reports saying, okay, the phone was 1 mile from this sector, this antenna points this direction. Here's 1 mile. The phone should be somewhere within that band.
With just one data point, can you narrow down where in that band it could be?
No.
With multiple data points, can you draw conclusions as to the location of the phone because of multiple records?
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah,
OJ for an hour
so-
tomorrow.
One way we could do that is meet intersecting bands.
Lux, that's all you ever saw was boobs. Come
Could
on.
you zoom out a little bit, please?
Sure.
Like let's suppose that this.
I was
tower
just
down
seeing a
here
baseball diamond,
Also
so
recorded the measurement.
I feel disappointed in myself.
Wow.
Direction and distance and speed of bands that intersected, and we could say, okay, I might make the conclusion.
I don't know what that
As long
says
as
about
that
me.
small coverage area where the intersections of bands are, we can kind of triangulate. You could also use other information that's not related to cellular technology if
Yes, thank you,
there's
Jeff,
other
for all your
facts
hard
from
work.
the investigation.
Is that type of information provided to you when you're doing your analysis?
Yes.
And do you identify areas potentially of interest?
Chat.
Yes.
Why?
I
Going
love
on
chat.
to this next slide here. What are you illustrating in this particular map?
Thank you, Kale Hyun,
So
too.
this shows
Thank
the
you.
green dots are T-Mobile towers.
I'm just
in the South
disappointed there's
Florida
someone else more
area,
degenerate than I
at the
am.
time
Dang it.
of 2018
I've let myself down.
Now you have to step up your game.
Analysis or case, and the takeaways there is just there. You see in densely populated areas, there's a much higher concentration of towers, right? Because there's more people who have more devices, there's more demand and have more resources. So you need, the providers need to have more towers with smaller coverage areas to provide service to those devices. When you get to more rural areas, where there's fewer people, fewer devices, the networks will usually have fewer towers.
Yeah, there's nothing sexy in this diagram, unfortunately. Unless, Jeff, maybe you see something that I don't.
Is this
You can
not
regain your
fairly
degenerate
accurately
status.
depict the towers that were in
Nah, I'm
South
good.
Florida in
No.
October of 2018?
Yes.
So going on to the areas of interest. If we can identify.
Please get onto a point of interest. For
the ones
God's
that are
sake,
listed
find a
here.
point of
Start
interest.
with 805 Northeast 4th Avenue
Meme, what's
in
up,
Fort
meme?
Lauderdale.
So that's shown in
Chandler,
the
44
red
Treehouse.
portion of the map
Yep,
with the orange
pretty
flag
much.
and the white letters and E on it. That was a
Working on my
location.
setup.
All these locations were provided me by the detective who requested that do the analysis.
Oh, go away, Phoebe.
That was one of the locations identified.
And how do you plot or
Phoebe's really
map
funny.
these locations?
With mapping software, I mean, our mapping software is Google Maps.
And does that fairly and accurately depict the locations of the items of interest that provided to you?
Yes.
So moving on, so you have a crime scene with coordinates on it.
Yes. So
Is that again provided to you by the detective?
Yes.
Next, reported shooting. How would you identify that on the map and point it out, please?
So the reported shooting location is a blue flag with a little eye in it. Shown here on the map, sort of, I guess, in general in the lower left.
Okay. After that, there's Memorial Hospital is your next. How is that identified on the map?
You have Memorial Hospital, 1901 Southwest 172nd Avenue, Miramar, Florida. It's shown on the map with a red square and a white H.
Okay. Next location is labeled as McDonald's. Where is that on the map?
McDonald's is 17001 Miramar Parkway, Miramar, Florida. That's shown with a red circle and a yellow M on it.
Okay. And Sunset Lakes is the next one. If you could point that out.
Sunset Lakes is located at 18513 Southwest 40th Street, Miramar, Florida. That's shown on the map with an orange flag that has the white letters S&L.
And so last but not least, the Montessori Academy.
Yes, the Montessori Academy, 19200 Pines Boulevard, Pembroke Pines, Florida. It's shown on the map with an orange flag that has the letters M and A in white.
Are those locations that we just discussed consistently plotted throughout the rest of the mapping that you do in this case?
Yes.
So I want to go to the phone number 772-713-9807. And then the phone number 954-248-9081. Do you know who either of those phone numbers belong to?
Objection, outside of the scope of knowledge. And hearsay.
Jesus.
You're muted.
Fun fact that has nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. Where'd it go? Squizgar 2322. The speed of sound is actually much faster in water. It is based on the density of the medium. More dense equals faster speed of sound. You in fact are correct. Yes, you are. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Fascinating. Goes completely over my head.
He's actually correct. Yes, you are absolutely correct. Thank you.
Okay, so Tom, you may answer the question. Do you know who any of these phone numbers belong to?
Get it.
I don't know. I'm the detective treated on this.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We'll stop it right there. All you know is what somebody told you.
Right.
So I don't want to get into any of that. I just want to know what your personal knowledge.
And Squizgar also said,
have
fun
any
fact, the difference in
personal
speed of light in
investigation
different
or knowledge
mediums is
of who these
responsible
phone
for the
numbers
blue glow in nuclear reactors
And you just
called
know that
Cherenkov
the phone numbers
radiation.
that were provided
Also
to you.
absolutely correct.
Okay, and the 772-713-9807, that's the same one that we discussed in
Chad is really smart.
28 that I published earlier.
Objection, Your Honor. He also testified that he never saw the document before, so it's outside of scope of knowledge.
Sustained.
Thank you.
So with regards to the 772-713.
Objection, Your Honor. She cannot leave it up there
Speaking
published.
objections,
She's
Your Honor.
tainting the jury.
Just take it down, please.
So 772-713-9807, that specific phone number. On that, I want to talk in the 954-248-9081. Between
The
3:20
HBO
a.m.
series.
and 3:57 a.m.
Good series.
Did you analyze
it's so good. I love
data
it.
for both of those phones?
Yes.
And if you could tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what this data is showing and explain it to them.
Sure. So the several slides like this in the report. So we'll talk a little bit more about this first one, just so everyone understands, which the slide says. At the top, it says the analysis of the two phone numbers that conducting analysis for. It says the time period that I'm analyzing, so October 26th, 2018, 3:20 a.m. to 3:57 a.m. And then the bulk of the slide is the graphic, is the map. You see all the green dots all over the place. Those are T-Mobile towers, like we talked about before. And then you'll see that certain towers are highlighted with a circle showing that those are the towers that saw the phone. Some circles are red, some circles are blue, some circles are red with a blue perimeter around them.
Is this going to be a Dr.
Zoom
Seuss
in up
poem?
here on this top section, the 3:20 a.m. If you could just show some of the red.
One circle,
the
two
blue
circle,
circles
red
and
circle,
then
blue
the
circle.
red.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so
You got blue balls
there's an
and
example of the
red dots
circle.
there.
What that means is that you can call it, since it's hard sometimes to remember numbers, it's called the red phone and the blue phone. So the red phone was seen by that tower, and that's why there's a red circle there. Here, the network saw the blue phone on that tower.
Yeah, children's book
Here's an example of a talent that saw both.
Judge, may we approach sidebar, please?
This is why this trial is going to go through the end of July.
Because they're going to drag it out with tons of boring crap that doesn't matter.
Oh my God!
Because they don't have a case. It sounds like they don't have a case.
They haven't shown it yet. This is literally unnecessary.
I mean, you'd think that they would put their strongest witnesses on first. I didn't see the beginning of the trial, admittedly, so I don't know what the strength of their witnesses was. But we're still, pretty early, and it just seems like there's nothing. Was anybody meaningful or
No.
significant or impactful?
No.
Not a single witness?
It was three hours of a guy saying this is a gun, an hour of a guy saying this is what broken glass looks like, an hour and a half of a woman saying this is what a gun is and this is what broken glass looks like.
God, really?
That thing, yeah. It's been a shit show from the beginning. I get that, the guy's got money. He's got himself a team of highly competent lawyers. Questionable about Lurch, but the two main ones are highly competent lawyers.
Oh, they're
They
excellent.
cost money and they're doing a great job. So the state is going to be cautious, that make sure they dot all of their I's and cross all of their T's. But this, to me, seems a bit overboard.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do this for the Murdoch trial, and he has more money than God.
I mean, the thing is that, it's really up to the prosecution to prove their case. I mean, it's just not happening. So, regardless of how competent the defense attorneys are, the prosecution is totally incompetent. So I actually feel like even if defense wasn't that great, this still wouldn't be, moving forward necessarily.
Yeah. They're not doing a great job. Huge ass. Thank you for the doggo dollars. We're inching our way slowly there.
Caligula, yes, I'm aware. I've ordered a new microphone.
Jury stepped out. Counsel remain along with the defendant. Witnesses also present. The state's present. All right. So I don't understand. You're saying you didn't have this report?
So we got this report this morning while I was.
Okay, so the jury's been sent out.
I have a printer here. So I asked the state to do the professional courtesy and give me a copy of the documents that she'd be using for this testimony. I'm trying to refer to what she's up. She gave me 7 pages, by the way, which we started, and I was objecting to it being published because it still had the names in. She said, I'm not using that first page that I handed you, I'm using every other page. So I'm looking at the pages to try to go along with what she's showing, and I'm noticing she gave me a report from a whole nother phone. All I'm asking is to give us the actual documents that she's showing the witness. And to say I emailed it to you while we were sitting in the courtroom is a little disingenuous because I don't have a printer to be able to print it out. So I just asked.
So you have the report, all 3 reports, but the reports that you have that were generated to you have the phone number as well as a name that's identified that the phone is associated with. Is that correct?
She redacted that.
No.
Yes.
But you have the 3 reports.
Yes.
Discussing the phones, and you was given those reports some time ago, and yesterday your objection was made that it's conclusory as to whose phone it was, and I sustained that objection, told to redact the name.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And you're telling me you don't have the form of the reports with that redaction of these maps or whatever they are, with the names being redacted. Is that correct?
So I have it in email, but I'm asking for paper form so I can follow along.
Understood.
Yes,
All right.
exactly.
Thank you. So can you make copies for those?
I have printed, I found all of them. If there's one that she's missing, I'm happy to do so, pull them up again. I printed them all this morning.
Counselor's suggesting she doesn't have them, so I just want to make sure she has
Of course, and that's not a problem. So they've all been turned over via email. This is all in there, the original copies as well that were provided.
Counsel does not have the ability to print something out in the courtroom now. She's asking counsel was Raven Liberty's asking for the copy of it. Let's provide her a copy of it.
I'm happy to do so. I just need to know exactly which one she says she's missing and which one she says she has.
If it's missing, how does she know she's missing it? You should. Oh, fuck hell.
None of the documents she's published
So just do me a courtesy, print all of them out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right? So we take a break.
You print all of them. You give them to her.
We can.
If redundancies don't matter,
I thought you were
give her
finished.
too much. Too much is better than not enough.
So she has in her hand some of them already. So I just want to make sure I don't double.
It doesn't matter. You
Double
reprint
print.
everything out.
Counsel's suggesting she doesn't have them. So let's just print them all.
Okay, well, she does have some of this. Let's try to make
Don't
sure.
fucking argue with the judge.
I don't know, you're saying they're sent, counsel's suggesting she hasn't received those things. I just want her to get copies of it. I don't want your constant back and forth. Well, she has to, just get her the copies. That's it. It's easy. Just get her the copies. All right, Mr. Devins, you need a restroom break? All right, we're recessed. Thank you.
You gave me this homework, so you're going off the time, and you're 7.
Right. Don't argue with the judge like that, for God's sake. That was stupid. This prosecutor is weird too. What the hell was that?
She doesn't have a lot of respect for the court. I'll say that.
No.
That's ridiculous.
She doesn't at all. That was the judge saying, make copies of everything. Well, she has some of it. Make copies of everything. Well, she said she has some of it. Make copies of everything. Well, and he's like, look, if the judge's like, look, I don't want to be arguing with you. Just make copies of everything. What is so hard about that?
Relationship between the prosecutor and the defense attorney and the judge.
That was this prosecutor. I mean, my Lord.
I love how I've seen a lot of people refer to her as like the female Binger. And I think that's quite apt, considering that she just has, there's a lot of back talk. She seems to think she's running the court. She seems to think that I'm sorry, but when you are an attorney and you go to court, I'm not an attorney yet, but even I know, you respect the judge, you respect the judge's wishes, you respect the judge's orders. You don't argue back with the judge. That's just ridiculous.
That is stupid.
Decorum. Professional decorum. Hello. Does it exist anymore?
I need to start time stamping these stupid things better. I've got to go run and grab my tablet.
Steve Gosney is in the chat. Hi, Steve. That is a typical arrogant prosecutor, he says.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Fluffer girl. Okay.
Don't argue with the judge, for heaven's sakes. What is that? You can trust me. You will never win an argument with a judge. That's why they're the judge. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I'm gonna go get my laptop. Not my laptop, my tablet. Hold things down, grift yourself a little bit, and interact with chat. I'll be right back. Give me about a minute.
Okay, sure. Well, I guess I'm running the stream now. Hi, everybody. I'm so sorry about my mic. I'm getting it fixed. As in, I'm getting a new microphone. It's coming on Friday, so if you can hang in there with me, I appreciate it very much. I'm happy to see Steve here. I'm happy to see Flex, and Maxwell. Who else is in chat? We have Adriana, King Ginger. Love you guys. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chandler Remington. I am a paralegal from Los Angeles, California, and I started a YouTube channel in February, and it's slowly gaining traction. I mostly appear on other people's streams. I'm on Vices here a lot. We do OJ Thursdays. We're going to do a little bit of OJ tomorrow. And I'm going to be covering some more Solomon Anderson, Zach Anderson stuff coming up. I'm going to be covering Sarah Boone with MLS Law. Stay tuned. I'm probably also going to be doing a video about misinjury and the international phenomenon of misinjury, the way that it occurs sort of worldwide. In any case, follow me on Twitter and on YouTube at Remy Legal, REMY_legal. I'm very happy to see you all. Hello, hello. Give me 1 second.
Oh my God, Chandler just left. I'm not even hooked up here. What the hell? Hey, there you are. You came back. What was that?
Sorry. I had to pick something up that I dropped.
Oh, gee, scared me. I didn't have my microphone or my speaker hooked up. I was like, oh my God, you went blank. I gotta
No. Don't worry. I grifted. I said hi to people. Don't worry.
I'm like, oh my God, there's an emergency. No streamer. Exactly.
No, I literally turned my camera off for like 1 second. Don't worry.
Right. I know. That's trust me, that's what I was thinking too. Wow. Yeah, that's shocking. It's shocking behavior. Seriously. I don't know. This isn't the first time she's been called out on it. Now I'm starting to think the judge is a little bit soft. Because this isn't the first time he's got into it with her. He needs to just lay down the law and say, I am the judge. You are not. When I say something, just do it. Don't argue with me. Don't second guess me. Don't question me. Just do it. I mean, that was so inappropriate.
Oh, it's incredibly inappropriate, but I mean, I feel like it's a common phenomenon. And like Steve said, typical. It clearly, it's, what's the word? Like, and it's pervasive. There are lots of, I don't know, people are arrogant. People think that they know better, and it's just like, well, if you don't like it, then why don't you be judge? Go become a judge. Work on that. Get to that. Don't speak to a judge that way. It's his court. He is the court. It's ridiculous.
Right.
There's a hierarchy. There's a system. I really
don't
like.
He says not shocking. Typical unhappy female prosecutor. I just meant shocking in the sense of, it shocks the conscience. That sort of shocking. Not shocking it actually happens. Just shocking that she would, be that ignorant as to, situational awareness.
I think you say it's shocking because it shocks your sensibilities because it's offensive to you. I mean,
it's shocking behavior. It's just not shocking it happened. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, Chandler's mic is fluctuating in volume, but don't worry. She's going to have it all fixed in a couple of days.
I will. I'm sorry. I should have overnighted my new mic. It's going to be a great new mic, and that there will be fewer problems, hopefully.
Smopo Vienna says, Meme Copium said he's going to get his tablet. I only see Vices with the tablet when he's playing the drawing game. Meme's been saying he's going to get a tablet for like 8 months now, so don't believe it. It's become a thing. Gosh, I mean I'm still just kind of reeling with the fact that they're expecting suddenly this trial to go to the end of July. Little bit shocked by that, I must say.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It was originally 4 weeks.
I don't know if you can hang in there for that long because I think you have better things to do.
Yeah, plus Taylor's business is starting on July 24th, and I need a break. I was expecting this to go to the end of the month, maybe into the first week of July, and then have a couple week break and then start. But we'll have to figure out something.
Well, what if it gets interesting, Jeff?
Well, I mean, I'll still do updates and things like that. Maybe some highlights of the day, but yeah, it's not going to be. Well, I will just have to see what happens. It's just kind of weird. Because the prosecution said they need 12 days to present their case. Okay. And they're on day 6 now.
Yeah, that's not happening.
So, and the defense figured about a week. So, whatever.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
The Willie Buzz says, sadly, we don't have more Borowskis out there. The Borowskis, we need them. Yeah, seriously. King Ginger 333. I was in a meeting for the last 30 minutes. Anything interesting happened? Yeah, the prosecutor was arguing with the judge again.
You missed the shape of a boob on a map.
Yes, we had boob map.
Unless you saw that, I don't know if that was in the last 30 minutes before. That was one of the most interesting things that happened all morning. Chat was very excited about it.
Well, we all get excited by boobs, don't we? Anyway, enough of that. We do have 1 star. Andrew Hansen with a $2 super chat says, do I need to ask July of which year it'll end? Apparently you do. You didn't miss a boob. You missed a boob-shaped drawing. I saw a baseball diamond. Chandler saw a boob. So,
yep. Exciting stuff.
I saw a baseball diamond. That's literally that's it. The prosecutor talking back to the judge and a diagram that if you squint really hard and use your imagination to its fullest might look like a baseball diamond or a boob.
I mean, I didn't need to squint, but
all right, fair enough. While we're taking this break of indeterminate length, We've got 701 concurrent viewers watching us talk about whether a cell phone tower diagram looks more like a baseball diamond or a boob. Thank you, 713 people. 600 of you have hit the like button, so only 100 of you haven't done your job. Get over there and smash that like button. And take our stupid poll. This poll is literally the lamest poll ever. What's the second lamest poll? The lamest poll was just 4 lines of yes. This is the second lamest poll ever. Did you like and subscribe? 11% said, of course. 18% said, I'm doing it now. 31% said, obviously, it was never a question. And 40% said yes. So thank you for that. Not sure where we are on the subscriber count right now, but we're moving upward, and that's a good thing. Let me check it out. Go to the dashboard. Oh, we're at 37,222, exactly where we were when we started. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And go over to Remy_legal and make sure you're subscribed to her.
That would be great.
You only squint to see through pixelation on prawn. Exactly. That is one method of doing it. All right. The judge seems to be back in the courtroom and people are standing around. Let's bring up the camera just in case. Oh, there we go.
I don't think we have color printers in the back.
I got hit by a car yesterday.
It's not something I can.
What the hell?
Holy crap.
Are you okay? My goodness. That's very
Hope
scary.
you are. Baseball is as American as apple pie, pro wrestling, and boobs.
It's a mystery. I hope you feel better.
And we are $70 away from Doggo Cam and Cuck Cage. If you're keeping score at home and are so inclined, your super chats guarantee that they will be read and responded to.
That would be wonderful. We would appreciate it.
I am not behind at all. We are exactly live.
All right, let's get back on the record. I understand, well, first of all, do I reflect the presence of the defendant as counsel, assistant state attorneys? We're still waiting for the state to provide certain documents to defense counsel ID. Some maps that were being used as demonstratives. Counsel sidebar suggested that she didn't have them. They were emailed to her, but she doesn't have hard copies, and Raven literally wants the hard copies. I had instructed the state attorney to go ahead and do that, provide those hard copies, and that's in the works because the printer in the courtroom doesn't seem to be working. So while we're waiting on that, let's go back and talk about
Eric. No fake news here.
The
Tyson was not found.
Counsel suggested he wants. What's the state's position on the discovery cutoff?
That if there is anything that counsel brings up with regards to the witness that suggests additional analysis or anything that can be done, that the state would do it on that.
So you're opposing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else that you want to be heard on regarding this discovery cutoff?
No, Your Honor.
Anything the defense wants to be heard?
Yes, sir. I just started to do some research, and quite frankly, I've only candidly found a case. It's in the 4th DCA, but it concerns a civil matter. And it speaks of the need for a discovery cutoff to avoid the very term I use, ambush and surprise. And that when a party conducts itself in a way as to ambush, they're not to get the benefit of that. These trials, we understand, life goes on beyond trials. So the evidence that can be introduced into a trial should have some finite and determinable parameters. The notion that the state comes here and asks jurors to put somebody to death suggests that they have completed an investigation that warrants that co-signing, co-signature. To suggest that, okay, there are a lot of things that we could have done and we didn't do, and if you ask about it, we're going to go do it and introduce it while the proceedings ensue, is not only an ambush, but it's an insult to the process. They're saying that they have the evidence. Now, the state can get up there and say, hey, the defense is making some ridiculous cross-examination and we don't have everything because what we have is enough, which is when they bring an indictment of this nature, or any indictment, they're saying we have enough now, beyond a reasonable doubt. But what they cannot do is, as these proceedings go forward, continue to investigate and plug holes that we reveal to exist as the process goes on until this case goes to verdict. I'm not quite sure when this would end or how there is even a gatekeeping function of the court if there is no gate and there is no fence and there are no lines and no parameters of propriety. The state is making a representation by bringing this indictment that they are ready and they have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And if that proof beyond a reasonable doubt also includes areas of investigation that were not pursued, then they should explain to a jury why it was not pursued and why the failure to pursue it does not undermine their case. They don't get to keep plugging holes as the proceedings go forward.
God, he's good.
And so, as the Fourth Circuit said, that is ambush. And the purpose of, the Fourth DCA said that is ambush. And the purpose of a discovery deadline is to avoid surprise, avoid ambush, and a party that engages in that ought not to get the benefit of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Just briefly, I mentioned that defense hasn't yet to provide any reciprocal discovery, but alluded to some yesterday, that they were looking at Instagram posts and everything that happened as recently as this week. But yet
Because they're still
provided
looking at it. You
that
have this. You had this and
So
you
if there's
didn't give
any
it to them.
deadline,
That's
then it's
different.
It needs to be imposed on both parties.
No.
Thank you. Oh, Counsel, my understanding is that's the way it works, is that it's not, Richardson violations apply to both sides, doesn't apply to just one side. It's deadlines apply to both sides. And there's a obligation, that's not what it's talking about.
We apologize, the pictures to say it's not working. On that. I'm sorry.
I apologize. What I was saying is that the whatever obligations that are imposed would be applicable to both sides when there's discovery cutoff or not. My thought is that the discovery cutoff, you can keep investigating the case, however you feel fit, and you're more than welcome to do that. However, that doesn't mean that anything you find can be used at trial as in evidence. This thing with Mr. Moretti, where when I'm out of town on vacation, you're asking the detective, or he's offering, I'm not really sure how it happened, to continue and run this through another process. And the defense doesn't know about it. The defense cross-examines Mr. Zellner, or Officer Zellner, and is not aware that he's asking questions about other programs, because his understanding is there isn't any other program. But you know there's another program, they have access to it, and they've done it. You just don't have the results. That seems to me to be what the council's talking about. And that seems to me to be a Richardson violation. There's discovery that's ongoing, you know about it, and you're not telling them about it until we're here in court. So as far as anything already is concerned, I think that's a discovery violation. And I'm finding it to be a discovery violation. I think the only way it can be cured is he's not going to testify about this second procedure that happened.
Wow.
It's not coming in. Same thing. If you want
There you go.
to
The
investigate
judge
case,
dropping the hammer on the prosecution again. Discovery
Go
violation. They do not get to talk about anything
change your
new
mind as to how you proceed with the case. And
regarding
I don't
the
have a
second
problem.
thing.
Investigate whatever you want to investigate. But as far as using new discovery that you're coming in, I think a cutoff needs to be happened because this is what's going on. We're going to have this. If you find something new, there's a whole, as counsel describes it, that then you.
They've had 4.5 years to investigate this.
That's new discovery. The defense doesn't have an opportunity to depose the witness. The defense doesn't have an opportunity to do X, Y, and Z. And that's just not the way it should be. It shouldn't be done by surprise. So
it's clear this was not a new item. This was just this, all of the information was supposed to be identical.
you found it. You had a meeting with the detective in May when we're in hiatus because I'm on vacation. All right, got a meeting with him in May after we picked a jury, and when we're ready to, we're in the middle of jury selection. You picked it, you did it, and you said, well, he tells you, or you ask him, do you have more programs to go ahead and provide the information? And you find out there's another program, and he runs the program, does a different download with something other than Cellbrite, and therefore, you have more information. Don't make the defense aware of it. You hold that to yourself. You go ahead and put on a couple of weeks of trial testimony, and then when it comes up after he, in cross-examination, points something out, you bring it up and say, well, by the way, I told him, the detective in our pretrial meeting, it came up and he has the program and we can use it and we're doing it. All right. And, but you don't tell him about it. You just go ahead and hold it, keep it close to the vest yourself. Don't explain it to him. And then you say, when it comes up at trial, so what was it? I don't have the report yet. That's why I didn't turn it over to him, but didn't disclose it's coming. It seems to me that's not what's supposed to happen. Not supposed to happen, period. That's a discovery violation.
Yep.
Okay.
This judge is based.
As far as the detective Moretti,
that's it. If you find any information that's disclosable to the opponent, you must tell them immediately, not wait weeks and then spring it on them suddenly.
If you have other information,
you have a duty to disclose it, the discovery immediately.
Right now, if you don't have it, they're not aware of it now. It's not coming in unless there's something extraordinary that pops up. And just because you find out they have additional capabilities and you want to go retest something, that's not extraordinary on my way of thinking. I'm not familiar with what the case law says. It just seems to me that this is a fundamental fairness thing. You have evidence, you need to turn it over to him. If you didn't turn it over to him, you can't use it. That's really the basic.
Understood, and so everything has been turned over. That was the only item of which there was additional investigation done on to see if there was any other.
The judge ruled, let it go.
It was reported to me that it was identical in terms of the information that was done through Gray Key versus Celebrite on that. So defense counsel is attacking the veracity of the Celebrite program on that. So with regards to that, that's the only reason why that would even be brought up. But if I understand there, so we can.
No, new prosecutors don't prosecute death penalty cases.
More outside parts of the jury. Counsel keeps objecting to publishing of items that are already in evidence and making speaking objections. So just ask if Your Honor could address that specific issue because the state can publish the items that are in evidence.
Okay, this is a whiny objection. Well, they're doing bad stuff too.
That has not been admitted or something to that effect. But in terms of the speaking objections and things like that, those are improper in front of the jury.
Thank you. All right, no speaking objections.
Understood.
When do you expect this documentation to come over?
I think the printer just started working.
And I provided it to.
That was the judge going, yeah, whatever. Okay, no speaking objections.
Yes, confirmed, Judge.
All right, ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, sir.
Why is he sitting with Sidney Poitier? And that was a beautiful ruling. That was a great ruling by the judge. Spot on, everything you said.
Finally, a judge I can like.
And then for the prosecution to do the, I think you're doing this wrong. You really, well, you're doing this too. That was dumb. Even to the point where the judge is like, "Hey, all right, whatever, no speaking objections." And by the way, you still don't get to bring anything in. Well, he's not soft, but he could be tougher. They call me Mr. Willie.
Jurors entering.
Yes, Jim, we see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please be seated. Let the record once again reflect the presence of the jury as well as defendants, his counsel, the state attorney. Our witness remains on the stand. Counsel, you can continue with your direct examination.
No super
Okay,
chats
so
to
we
read.
had left off, we were talking about the red phone and the blue phone. And just to remind the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what is the red phone number?
That is listed at the top of the slide. It is 772-713-9807.
And then the blue phone number?
The blue phone number is 954-248-9081.
Okay, so going back, you have a little green box with the numbers 154-129-11. What is that?
That is the name of the tower and the sector.
Okay. And the times that are listed below, what are those indicative of?
So there's a time that's it says 3:28 a.m. in blue, it says 3:28 a.m. in red, and that is the time from the records that
YouTube has been having some issues recently, Jim.
To that tower.
So based on what you're showing here, what can you tell us about where the blue phone and the red phone were at 3:20?
So generally in the area around New Era Studios.
Okay. As you're moving across the slide, what are we looking at?
So we see a series of towers that the red phone and or blue phone were observed by as they move from east to west. So you see there's a line of towers generally in this area, kind of.
No, Art Nixie, no.
No.
Nothing.
75, and then the last ones at the end of the slide are the west, kind of by the intersection of a tower that's near the intersection of Pines and US 27. The tower is 63035, sector 15 at 3:57 a.m. That tower saw each of these phones.
So I want to make sure it's clear when you're the 3:20 a.m. that's on the right side of the screen. Can you kind of show in order the way the towers are plotted?
Yeah, so I didn't know the time for each tower because that's
Not guilty because there's been zero evidence that he had anything to do with it.
Slide, but generally, these towers in the northeast, and then sequentially or chronologically, as time went on, these towers were used. This tower was used later in that tower, and this tower, and that tower. And so as time went on, from 320 closer to 357, these towers were used.
And based on your training and experience, what does that tell you about how the phones were moving in relation to one another between 3:20 and 3:57 a.m.?
Yeah, so in my opinion, that's consistent with the devices moving generally together.
So you mentioned that there are some in which there is red and blue together. So I want to focus in, there's one here, it looks like at the intersection of Flamingo Road and I-75. And
Yes.
595 rather. The red with the blue. What does that mean when you have them overlaid like that?
So that tower saw both the red phone and the blue phone.
Okay. Is that at the same time or are they at separate times?
It could be either.
It could be either. It could be separate or
So
at different
going
times. Well,
on
then why
to
the hell are
phone
you
of
showing
the
it?
772-713-907.
Either you're putting it on
What
there
are we
to show
looking
they were
at
there
this
at the same
slide
time,
for the 347
or there's
AM?
no reason to put it on.
So this
You
is.
can't just throw up them being in the same place at the same time and say they could be there at the same time or they might not be there at the same time.
2 data points, basically, from the engineering report. The tower, 64337, sector 2, pointed south, recorded the red phone at 2 data points, one at 3:47:13 a.m., one at 3:47:14 a.m. And the measurement that went up was that phone at those times was 0.24 miles from the tower.
So you said it's 2 different times, but it's the same measurement. How do you explain that to ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
That's just what the records recorded.
Okay. And in terms of by having 2 data points along, are they going to be in the same exact spot?
Well, it could be or it could not be. So the 0.24 miles from the tower is this red arc here. And I guess your question is the phone in the same spot or not? I don't know. Those are 2 data points close in time. They're separated by 11 seconds. So the phone certainly could be stationary. The phone could also be moving. For instance, at one point it could be here, and at the other point it could be there. There's both possibilities, and you can't determine for this thing.
And in terms of you don't have any cameras if it's stuck at a red light or anything like that?
I don't.
So that was the 772-713-9807 at 3:47 a.m. Okay. Moving on to the 772-713-9807 from 3:52 to 3:53 a.m. Could you explain what you're illustrating and the data shows on this slide?
Okay, so this shows 2 data points, both using the same tower and sector, tower 151, 685, sector 13. And the first data point is at 3:52:58 a.m.
Okay.
That's this arc here, that's 0.58 miles from the tower. And then 50 seconds later, at 3:53:48 a.m., the arc is 1.16 miles from the tower, this other arc.
And in terms of the distance between the 2 arcs, what is that amount?
It's a little bit over half a mile,
And the time frame in between those 2 arcs is how long?
about 50 seconds.
Based on the records and that you have, can you give a information
anything?
as to where that phone was along
Oh,
those
I'll
arcs?
be back in a minute. Let me know if Perry Mason moment
Based on the
happens.
records that I have.
Yes. Based on other additional information that was provided to you, can you make a determination as to where it's more likely than not the phone was?
Yes.
And where is that?
So the phone moved half a mile in 50 seconds. That's consistent with vehicle travel. It's too fast for a phone to move. That's 30 miles an hour. So there's a couple places that the phone could be logically. For instance, it could be going east to west on Pines. It could be going north to south on 184th. Those both options. There's a data point that was provided to me. And that reason for this analysis was I was asked, hey, the detective recovered some video footage from Montessori Academy that he believed these devices might be in a vehicle that was seen driving by around this time. The detective asked, is the cell data consistent with these devices being in the vehicle? In my opinion, yes.
The data points that we're looking at, are those the only data points that exist in this case?
No, but these are the data points between 352 and 353.
No. So going on to now the 772-713-9807 and 954-248-9081. The 4 a.m. to 4:03 a.m. Can you describe what information is contained here?
So both phones are seen in the same tower and sector, tower 63035, sector 15. At 4 o'clock and 36 seconds, the blue phone was 1.45 miles from the tower. We have 2 data points on the red phone, one at 4 a.m. 54 seconds, one at 4:14 seconds. The red phone was reported being 1.5 miles from the tower, 1.45 miles from the tower.
So when we're looking at here, this purple area, why is that?
Because the red and blue phones are both, they are red and blue mixed purple, so.
Just in case anyone's colorblind. So, with regards to the locations along this arc, can you narrow down in any way where the phones are along that arc?
Now, from the cell records, all you can tell is that there's some proof in. Yeah.
And in terms of if you're looking at it in the totality of the circumstances based on the other records and information that you have, can that help and assist you in rendering an opinion as to where the phones are located?
Yes.
And where would that be?
So the red flag depicts the crime scene. The detective told me
I'm
about
going to hypothesize I haven't missed much.
crime scene. In my opinion, yes. The data is consistent. Includes
Nope,
devices being in the area of the crime scene. That is not.
Okay. So going on to the 772-713-9807
Nah, just getting some cheese.
phone at 4:06 a.m. What information or data are you showing here?
So this shows the red phone at 4:06:22. There's a data point where it's back on tower 63047, sector 3. It's 1.02 miles from the tower. So in this band here.
Okay, and in terms of where it is along that band, can you give a more definitive answer?
With the cell phone records alone, no. The reason for this slide, this analysis, was
Nice.
because the detective had video footage from Montessori Academy again at a certain time.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sorry, repeat your question.
So based on these records, can you say where the phone was along that band?
And your objection is it calls for hearsay?
That wasn't the same question, Judge.
Thank you. Proceed. You can answer the question.
So based on these records, can you say where along the band it was?
No.
Was other physical evidence provided for you to review?
Cheddar? Brie? No, this is jalapeno
So going
Gouda.
on to the next slide, the
sounds good.
772-713-9807 and 954-248-9081.
A lot.
If you
They have a
explain
lot
what
of
we're
maps.
looking at on this particular
lot.
slide.
So this is a series of data points on 3 different towers for both the red and blue phone between 4:17 and 4:23. We're starting back on the left side of the slide, where 4:17:43, the blue phone is 1.21 miles from this tower. Shortly after that, at 4:18:02 a.m., the red phone is 0.87 miles from the tower. Shortly after that, at 4:20:50 a.m., the blue phone is 1.02 miles from this tower. Then after that, at 4:23:22 and 4:23:55 a.m., the red phone is 0.29 miles and then 0.68 miles from this tower.
Okay, and in terms of what can you tell about how the phones are related and direct in distance from one another based on this slide?
Distance from one another. Well, both phones moved north and then east. We know that the blue phone and the red phone are both over here, and now they're over here.
Can you have an opinion as to whether or not they separated during this time frame?
During this time frame,
Yes, 4:17 to 4:23.
I don't know. To me, I don't think there's enough data here to form.
Okay. So going on to the blue phone, 954-248-9081, 4:40 a.m. to 5:52 a.m. What data points and what information do you have on that phone?
So there was a lot of data points, or many data points for the blue phone during this time period. All the timing advance bands were either 0.82 or 0.87 miles from the tower, tower 62492 sector 3. Each of those bands, the 0.82 miles and 0.87 miles are shown here.
Okay. Does that phone then, that's all the data that you have for that particular blue phone?
Right.
Okay. Now to go to the 4:40 a.m. for the 772-713-9807, where does your data show
You haven't
that
found
phone
yet,
to be in the area?
Nope.
So at 4:40 a.m., at this point, the phones are clearly separate. At 4:40 a.m., we have two different types of data points that we're plotting here. At 4:40:31, we have the timing advance data, which shows that the phone is 0.5 to 8 miles from this tower. And then at 4:40:34 a.m., the red phone makes an outgoing call using that cell site for that tower in sector 62407, sector 12.
Okay, and the outgoing phone call that is made, is that identified from the records?
Yes,
And what is that? Sorry.
that is a outgoing call to phone number 954-376-9158.
Okay, does the red phone ever coincide again with the blue phone on the same arc that covers the hospital?
No.
So that was the first analysis that you did. Did you do additional ones?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna move on to the sprint at records and analysis that you did. Council, your favorite one? So with the sprint records that you were given, did you have the same measurement or distance data for those phones?
No, we had a similar report, which is the time in advance, Sprint calls it per call measurement data report. It's formatted differently. It's different network, it's different company, but it has, generally the same types of information contained in the report.
Okay, if there was going to be a distance in this report, where would it be shown?
It'd be shown in column I.
Column I,
Yeah, just title distance in miles.
distance miles there. Okay. And to be clear, we're looking at the records here for 954-371-7895. Did Sprint provide the distance for column I at any point between 3 a.m. and 3:57 a.m.? Sorry, that's column 163. Was there any distance provided?
No.
Okay. The 164 column, or row 164, row 60, 166, 167, and 169 was distance provided by Sprint at that point.
Yes.
Are they from a different manufacturer or vendor of cell tower?
Yes.
Okay. So based on, and so on this, the state would also publish what's been previously admitted as state 63. And for the record, that is the 2018-221418-6155597 customer service management screen of Chris Thomas. And the second one to is published is the customer service management screen of Duntavius.
May we approach?
Sure.
Sure, approach. Any guesses what all this is about? I'm guessing because they weren't, if I recall correctly from yesterday, they weren't supposed to tie names in with phone numbers, and they've just done this.
Right, which
by
is a
showing
problem
these.
for a very public trial because you're essentially giving out personal information that could allow you to access other personal information about those people.
Well, they. I mean, beyond that, I mean, they were saying that there's, even though it's registered in this person's name, there's no way of proving that he was the one using it all the time exclusively. And they were clearly passing around the phones, and I mean, even one of the phones, there was activity on it a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I think it was.
Right, there was
so,
Instagram activity, I believe, on
Yeah.
the phone. There were posts being made while he was in jail. So that
Yeah,
doesn't
so
track.
they were saying that all you can prove is this phone number was registered to this
And
person,
so
but
now
other people were
also
using
publishing.
it. So yeah, they took that down real quick, didn't they? They shouldn't have left that up during the objection meeting.
1418-6155640 records that have been previously admitted into Sprint and previously admitted as part of State 63. Special Agent Collins, the number that you're looking at here on the screen, 772-713-2341. Did you do analysis for those records?
Yes.
Okay. And again, for the record, publishing the subscriber information previously admitted as State 63 for Chris Thomas. Going down to the next phone number, did you do a cellular analysis for the phone number 954-371-7895?
Yes.
And for the record, publishing what's been previously admitted as State 63 with an identified subscriber of Dontavius Withers. Okay. On the Sprint records, do you do substantially the same type of analysis that we talked about on the true call data analysis?
Yes.
Okay. And would you use the same information to illustrate cell sites and cell sectors and towers?
Yes.
Okay. So again, the same demonstrative that's on what's labeled as page 3, you're still using the same symbols, the circle to represent a tower?
Yes.
Okay. Are you still using the same wedge or pie shape to identify a specific cell site?
Yes.
As to the next image that we're looking at, what does this show?
This shows the Sprint network in South Florida in the time of October 2008.
Does this fairly and accurately depict how the cell towers for Sprint were situated in October of 2018?
Yes.
And we previously discussed the locations of interest. Are those the same as in the previous analysis that you did?
Yes.
Why don't you put these all on one giant map together?
All the phones.
Yes.
Well, one, it would be a lot of phones. It could be like confusing to look at to see all the different data points. And then, so that was one of the reasons why.
Oh. So going on to the phone number, the 772-713-2341, the green phone on this, and 954-371-7895. Can you explain what we're looking at of this October 26, 322 to 343 a.m.?
So much like the red and the blue phone, this shows that the green and the purple phone both use towers or seen by towers in the Fort Lauderdale area near the flag with the N unit represents New Era Studios. At 3:22 a.m., the purple tower seen by Sprint Tower 168845, and then at 3:23 a.m., the green phone by a different tower 32591.
Okay. And in terms of, to go back to the 772-713-9807 and 248-9081, you're showing the same or similar timeframes?
Yes.
Okay. Do the phones, the green and the purple phone, move consistently together during this timeframe?
During this time frame, yes.
Okay. And how can you say that?
The towers, again, advancing chronology, consistent with the phones moving together, generally south, moving west, and then south again. they were hitting the same towers, similar times through this point.
Moving on to now 3:43 to 3:57 a.m. What are you showing and illustrating on this slide?
So this is only the purple phone. And you'll see that there are several towers that saw the purple phone during this time period. Unfortunately, because we didn't get distance information report, we can't tell where, in relation to those towers, this device is. So you'll see that there's overlap between the towers, right? Like for instance, between 343 and 352, there were multiple times this tower saw the phone. But during that time period, this tower also saw the phone at 348. During that time period, this tower also saw the phone at 349. 350, this tower saw it. So we have multiple towers from all different locations where the antennas are generally pointing that direction that saw the phone, but we don't have distance information.
Are there any phone calls or anything that would indicate that the phone used one of those towers as the clearest, strongest signal and make a phone call?
No.
Then going on to the 772-713-2341. Is this using some of the same towers?
Some of them.
Okay, and if we can just kind of go back and forth a little bit to explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, which ones are the same and which ones are different?
Sure. So all three of these are the same, but the purple ones, or the purple phone had multiple other towers that were used.
Okay. To look at tower 336-234-3. I'm trying to overlay them as, are they using the same antenna on that tower?
No.
Okay. Is this
exciting
consistent with the phones being together?
No, in my opinion, this shows that the phones were separated.
So and then in terms of the
Oh, I absolutely love this.
final analysis at 3:49 a.m. You could, for the 772-713-2341 tower, if you could identify
that tower
on this exhibit, which is page 9.
The tower that recorded the phone at 349.
Yes.
This one in the center, tower 336-0972.
Okay. And then in terms of the final tower, the 3:57 a.m., if you could identify that one.
That's the western edge of the map area, tower 336-234, sector 3.
So going on to the third analysis you did in this case. Did you do an analysis again for the phone number 772-713-9807, the red phone, and 954-376-9158?
Yes.
And in terms of the 954-376-9158, is that the same phone number you testified to was the phone call at 4:40 a.m. and on the 772 phone?
Yes.
Okay. So going on to those, you again use the same information to depict timing advance and cell sites and everything of that nature?
Yes.
The two phones, is it important to know what network a phone is on before you do the mapping?
Yes.
Okay. Were both of these phones on the same network?
Yes.
On this particular one, what network were both phones on?
T-Mobile.
Okay, so back to the red phone. And are these, again, fairly and accurately depict the location of the T-Mobile towers of October of 2018?
Yes.
Same locations of interest, or is there an additional one on this particular item?
There's an additional one.
And what item or additional location is on this map that is different from the others?
The Toscana Apartments, 5700 Toscana Lane, Margate, Florida, it's shown with on the map with an orange flag with a white letter T on it.
And if you could just circle it so it's clear to the general jury where that's at.
Here's on the map, here's the actual location.
Everything else remains the same?
Yes.
Okay. So on the 954-376-9158, the kind of turquoise phone, what information are you showing from 1:08 a.m. to 8:23 a.m.?
So this is information from the call detail records, not engineering data. This is calls and texts. And it shows that between 1:08 a.m. and 8:23 a.m., there are several calls and texts at the phone, to and from the phone, using two different sectors of the same tower, shown here with two different wedges.
And so based on your training experience, do you have an opinion as to where that phone was from 1:08 to 8:23 a.m.?
Yeah, so generally in the area, it's kind of apartments.
Moving on to October 26, 19, from 12:01 p.m. to 12:12 p.m. on this turquoise phone, the 954-376-9158. What information are you mapping here?
So here we're showing both the engineering data, the time in advance information, as well as information from the call detail records. So first, 12:01 and 12:02, the phone, turquoise phone, is in these two bands here. First, this one is a little closer to the tower, it's 0.63 miles away, and then the second band is 0.73 miles from the tower. During that time period, also at 12:01:39, the turquoise phone places an outgoing call to the red phone, 9807.
So they called
So
each.
then the next time frame that you're mapping on this location is what?
So if they called each other, they're not together because you wouldn't call someone standing right
Time
next to you.
advance measurement that's recorded is
Good point.
1.02 miles from this tower, south of it.
Okay. Going on to 12:06:07 to 12:12:37.
So during that time frame, there's
Yeah,
measurements from two
sure.
different
We don't
sectors
understand
of
it,
the
but
same
you know, the
tower.
prosecution
So you
sounds
see
like they know what they're
those
talking
arcs
about. So
Here, they're either 1.45 and 1.5 miles from the tower.
Okay.
But also during that time period, we have measurements from a different side of that tower. They're 1.5 and 1.55 miles from the tower.
Okay, and in terms of the location, is there anything you can say with specificity as to where that phone was at 12:07?
No, I mean, I think that I would generally look for the phone to be someplace where the arcs are overlaid, or an area where it would be seen by both sectors, but no, you can't isolation everything.
Do the cell phone towers overlap in their sectors?
Yes, they do.
Going on to October 26, 12:14 to 12:20 a.m., the 954-376-9158 phone number, the turquoise phone. What are we looking at in this image?
So, starting down here, south on US 27, or tower near the area of Pines and US 27.
well, Steve says he's not sure about the semicircle arcs in the state drawing and the diagrams. Training says these are not scientific and not reliable, but I may be out of date. The fact that they're not explaining any of this, they're not. This is so bad.
1 miles from the tower, it's getting closer.
I'm not stupid, and I'm not really figuring out what the hell they're trying to say.
And then
It doesn't seem very scientific to me.
Then it's in
I
this
don't know if
band,
it is or not because I don't know what the hell they're
sector,
saying. I don't know what you're
still
talking
close to
about.
the tower, traveling
Okay,
the same
we're
direction,
in-
0.60 miles.
We're at this point in a certain distance.
North.
This tower.
1.1 and 1.6 miles from the tower.
And so in terms of the north to south distance of each of these
I just can't
bands,
stop seeing boobs.
how
It's
wide are
distracting
they?
me, so
If we're looking
I have
at
a lot
the
to
north
offer.
Since
to
yesterday,
south, you know,
Kevin. They've been going through on this
aspects
since
between
yesterday.
Here and here. What
I mean, are
type
they
of
dumbing it
alignment
down for the
demonstrate what?
jury, or?
Is this still on a 4G phone?
Yes, yeah, so each of those arcs is still 78 meters.
I don't know.
Based on the multiple locations that you have, do you have an opinion as to how that phone or handset was traveling?
Yeah, I think the data is consistent with the phone traveling south and north during that time.
So just show me where they're together at the same
Now
time
going
and
on
explain
to
why it
the
shows that.
772-713-9807 between 12:01 and 12:12 p.m. on October 26th of 2018. What are you illustrating with this particular image?
So at 12:01, first there's an incoming call from the turquoise phone.
Well, I mean, that means he's already testified that he,
12:01.
Just because
The
they're
red
the
phone
same distance, they may not be there at the same time, the same location. It's
0.92
just
miles from the
dumb.
tower. At 12:03,
Way too much information for people to absorb.
0.68 miles from the tower. At 12:05, it's
How does this help the jury
0.92 miles from
understand
the
whether
tower.
somebody was murdered or not?
And 12:07 to 12:12,
Because I'm not dumb, but I'm lost.
it's 1.55 miles from the tower.
Okay, and just to flip back again to the 12:01 to 12:12 for the 954-376-9158. In terms of, can you make any opinions as to where these two phones were located in relation to one another during these time frames?
So they're in the same general geographic area for sure. Right? They're both on the same tower, at the same time, near Pines and US 27. There's areas where there's times when their bands are approximately the same, and there's times where they're different as well.
Can you make any sort of opinion that they were in the same vehicle?
No.
Going on to the 772-713-9807 phone from October 26, 2018, from 12:14 p.m. to 12:21 p.m. What data are you illustrating in this particular slide?
So the first data point, 12:14:47, is this band here. It's 1.02 miles from this tower. The next one, 12:16:28, is this band here, 0.92 miles from the tower. Then continuing on in time at 12:18:08.
Eric Folms
PM.
dropping the Warren Zevon
The red
tunes.
phone's in this
Good
band,
for you.
0.92 miles from the tower.
One of my favorite Warren
And then
Zevon tunes.
12:18:28, 0.68 miles from the tower. And then finally at 12:21:17, it's 0.29 miles from this tower.
And in terms of that was the end of the mapping and cellular analysis that you were asked to do in this case.
Yes.
Do all of the maps fairly and accurately represent your testimony that you just gave?
Yes.
In terms of, we talked a little bit about cell phone signal and things like that. Does being in a parking garage or being at elevation change your analysis of where the phones would be?
Being a part of the country elevation change. I mean, I don't think so. No.
If there was something that was a red flag in the data, what do you do to catch that?
If I see a red flag for whatever reason, something that doesn't make sense, I'm gonna look at it much more closely. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is the issue? Is there an issue? And, yeah.
Good
Was there
song
any
about Rocket
such
Richard with
information or
David
issues in the
Letterman
records that you
doing
looked at
the
in this
Hit
case?
Somebody part of the song.
Can you ever say why a phone picks a particular tower or doesn't pick a different one?
Yes. So if we're talking about making a call or sending a text, then from the call detail records, the phone picks the tower based on its readings of signal strength and signal quality. The phone always picks the tower with clear strong signal. If we're talking about the engineering data, what the network sees, why the network reports the distance measurement from one tower instead of another, no, I don't know why.
In terms of, can you tell whether or not a specific tower was working on the evening in question?
If there's a record associated with that tower, it was working on the evening.
There's other mapping software that's available. Does the FBI use a specific mapping software when doing this?
Yeah, we have a couple different programs. I used one program.
Okay, and what is that?
ESPA.
What is that specifically?
ESPA is a program for cell site mapping.
Why do you use that specific program?
It's the tool, one of the tools that we have, and they meet our needs or requirements as an agency.
In terms of just plugging the latitude and longitude into Google Maps, is that something you can testify to based on those records?
Yes.
And do you use that and those latitude and longitude that are in that timing advance data to determine where the phone was?
So I didn't use the latitude longitude to produce that report. Could I use them? Could I plot them in ESPA or Google Maps and put them? Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't you rely on them?
I don't rely on them when I'm doing expert testimony because I don't understand all the factors that go into the network deriving that estimated location for the device. For investigative leads or something, if I'm looking for a kit or something. I'm making my report for expert testimony. I use the time in advance to understand the math.
And in terms of, is the math constant?
Yes.
Do you take into account, you mentioned the UTC time versus local time? Do you take that into account in all the records when you're looking at those?
Yes.
Does the power of the antenna or cell site affect your analysis on the speed of light and the distance from the tower for each cell phone?
No.
Okay. Can you explain what is tower loading?
Tower loading. Like when a tower gets overloaded?
Correct.
Okay. So towers have, finite capacity. There's, not unlimited network resources for a phone company. So generally, you're able to make calls or text whenever you want, right? Like towers generally don't get overloaded, but it is possible for towers to get overloaded. So the way you see that, I guess, is one, if you're trying to make a call, if you've ever experienced the phenomenon where you're looking at your phone, like say it doesn't have to be an event where there's a ton of phones, like an unexpected, unanticipated influx of devices and people, like say the Super Bowl or something like that, and there's just an incredible demand for network resources. Everybody's trying to Facebook Live, or make calls, take video, everything. So if you've ever been in a situation where you're looking at your phone and you see, man, I had like great service, I have full bars, but I try and place a call, and the call just won't go through. It's just the towers could be because the towers are overloaded, you just can't handle your call.
Okay, and in terms of, would that be something that the phone would be able to see in the phone records?
No, so if the tower is overloaded, the phone won't know that it's overloaded, right? The phone can't see or doesn't have a view into what the network is handling, which is why your phone has identified a particular antenna as the one that offers the clearest, strongest signal. It says you've got 4 bars from this antenna, this is the one that connected you. It doesn't know that antenna is overloaded, so that's why when you have 4 bars, it sends you try to make a call, the call just doesn't connect, it just won't go through. If the phone doesn't know, oh, I should be looking for an extra antenna someplace, all it knows is that's my antenna.
And if there's no records or no entry in the records, can you analyze any of that data?
No, obviously I only am able to analyze the data that I have data points for.
In terms of the mapping and everything that you created, is it a fair and accurate depiction of the cell phone data and records that you just specified here?
Yes.
Does it in terms of as you're creating it, are you creating it as an expert in cell phone data and mapping?
Yes.
Do you do validation and verification of the data and the information that you're relying on?
So through my training experience, I know that the time in advance data is very accurate. And we talked about that earlier or yesterday, where it's like have real life validation for it. Like, yes, I've done historic cell site analysis, and validated by finding the phone in the place where I expected to or see video of the person with the device at that point in time.
All right. Fair enough, we may approach sidebar.
I was muted. This is she's got to wrap it up. This is excruciating.
Yeah, this is not. I don't think anybody is paying attention to this. I think everybody's bored to tears.
I'm legitimately trying to pay attention, and I legitimately can't.
It's hard. It's a challenge.
I got nothing to comment about. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not even following this.
We'll take a short recess to not discuss the case, form any opinion about the case, or allow anyone to discuss the case with presence or research. Please don't take up your chairs. We'll be back really shortly. Thank you.
It's her turn to talk, I guess. She seems to be the cell phone lawyer lady, so. All right. Good for her.
I mean, I understand they think that there's something meaningful here, but I just don't understand. You have to be thinking about the way that you're coming across.
Well, it's a classic.
Step down.
What are you about?
Councilor Maine. Yes, Council, I'm sorry. I just figured it was easier if we just let the jury go.
Understood.
Makes sense. Your Honor, may we have this discussion just in case there needs to be some supplementation testimony outside the presence of the.
Sure. You can step outside.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so they're making the witness leave because they might want to talk about some stuff that could influence his statements. John Gordon, thank you so much for the super chat. Thought we'll see testimony like this in Coburg. Oh, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly.
Well,
prepare to be bored again.
Okay, defendant's got to go take a
We'll
leak.
be in recess. Arrange for a restroom break for Mr. Dennis.
And I provided case officer report and counsel on the admissibility of demonstrative exhibit that appears. Please state.
The chair, the squeaky door again. All right, so the bathroom break for the defendant. We appreciate your time, Jeff. Thank you so much. Enchiladas Unbreaded became the new Vice Racks of the day with the $10 super chat. We are still far, far away from Doggo Cam. We haven't had Doggo Cam for a couple days. We're not even halfway there yet. So we're still 60 away from Doggo Cam and Cuck Cage. Don't know how long this is going to last. The short break will last because sometimes their short breaks don't turn into be actually short breaks. They turn into be quite long breaks. Hopefully that won't happen.
Well, there appear to be fewer sidebars today, at least.
Why does the defendant have that hairstyle? Because that's the hairstyle he wants. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, to me, it's clean, it's sharp. He's got it tied up. It's not frazzle around. It's not a distraction. I think he looks pretty sharp. He dresses well.
I mean, for somebody with face tattoos, he looks pretty good.
And rumor has it the two deceased people are part of the tattoos on his face. Could be wrong. That's what we've heard. Oh, Hugh Jest bringing a super chat. First super chat for a while. We have reached the point where these sidebars are more interesting than the testimony. At least the original Binger was fun. Boy, they've just got to they've got to keep this moving. The jury isn't going to care. They're going to be pissed.
Yeah. They're just not bringing anything compelling. The whole point is that this guy is supposed to be... I mean, this is a death penalty case? This is the most boring death penalty case.
Yeah, it is. I wish I had something to to say, but it's dull.
I mean, considering the stakes, considering the circumstances, this is a life and death matter, and nothing is happening. It is just so boring. It's bizarre the contrast between what we're here for and what the substance of the trial has become.
Right.
It doesn't compute.
And I've got nothing. They've got to step it up. Otherwise, people are going to hate the prosecution. I'm sure they're trying to make valid points, but they're trying to make them in such excruciating detail that it's losing everybody. It's literally you're losing the forest because you're focusing on the trees.
Yeah.
They need to be painting big pictures, and for the important issue, whatever. I'm repeating myself at this point. Squizgar.
Well, to say, unfortunately. I mean, it's like you're here to comment, and you just don't have anything to comment on. It's not your fault. What can you do?
I can read the super chat. Squizgar 2322 with the $10.01 super chat toward Doggo Cam. That $10.01 makes you the new Vice Rax for the day. You've captured the flag. You've captured the Vice Rax flag. Let me make that change right now. And while you're doing that, hit the like and subscribe buttons, folks. And not just for me, but for Remy_legal, Chandler Remington as well.
Yes, please.
All right. Squizgar 2322 for the USD 1001. Right. There's our new Vice Rax for the day. Thank you very much for that. Which puts us halfway. Are we halfway there? I gotta do some quick math here.
The two phones, is it important to know what network a phone is on before you do the mapping?
Yes.
Were both of these phones on the same network?
Yes.
On this particular one, what network were both phones on?
T-Mobile.
Okay, go back to the red phone. These, again, fairly accurately depict the location of the T-Mobile towers of October of 2018.
Yes.
Same locations of interest, or is there an additional one on this particular item?
There's an additional one.
And what item or additional location is on this map is different from the others?
The Toscana Apartments, 5700 Toscana Lane, Margate, Florida. It's shown with on the map with an orange flag with a white letter T on it.
And if you could just circle it so it's clear to the jury where that's at.
Here's on the map. Here's the actual location.
Everything else remains the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Charlie
So,
Houston
the
bringing the
954
$10.02 chat towards dethroning Squizgar.
What information are you showing from 1:08 a.m. to 8:23?
Well, that does get us closer to Doggo Cam.
So this is information from the call detail records. Engineering data, this is calls and texts. And it shows that between 1:08 a.m. and 8:23 a.m., there are several calls and texts at the phone, to and from the phone, using two different sectors of the same tower, shown here with two different wedges.
And so, based on your training experience, do you have an opinion as to where that phone was from 1:08 to 8:23 a.m.?
Yeah, so generally in the area that is kind of apartments.
Moving on to October 26, 2018, from 12:01 p.m. to 12:12 p.m. on this turquoise phone, the 954-376-9158. What information are you mapping here?
So here we're showing both the engineering data, the time in advance information, as well as information from the call detail records. So first, 12:01 and 12:02, the phone, turquoise phone, is in these two bands here. First, this one is a little closer to the tower.
Muted.
I said, yeah, that's the same testimony. They're replaying it during the break here. I just was like, because I don't have anything new to say.
No.
There's nothing to add to it. There's no other comments to make. We'll just pull it so there's no confusion. Yeah, they Long Crime has been doing that. They'll show their regular feed during the breaks and whatnot.
Do they want to torture their viewers? That's my question.
Yeah, just show cats or something, you know.
Yeah, really.
Yes, my lips are moving. They usually are when I speak. See how that works. Yeah. So here we are. Mm-hmm. How you doing, Chandler?
Doing pretty good.
That's good. If I were Wesley and the Princess Bride right now, I'd be begging the albino to go straight to 50 just to be done with it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you. Wow. So you missed a lot this morning. You missed the prosecutor arguing with the judge. And one other thing. What other thing did we miss this morning?
Nipples.
Nipples, yes. We missed graphics. Well, we didn't miss them. You'll see them. You'll see a lot more of them, I think. Just graphics that either look like a baseball diamond or boobs, depending on how you look at it and how degenerate you are. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to... I know what they're trying to do with this. They're trying to lay out the map to show that these cell phones were in the same place at the same time at relevant matters. And this is how... But they're just doing it in such a weird... highly uber super duper detailed way that whatever they're trying to show is getting lost.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Right,
I feel like what?
We are live again.
Oh, okay.
Present what he testified to. His testimony alone talks about those diagrams are inaccurate, imprecise, excuse me.
Inaccurate, imprecise.
He stated in his testimony that there is a margin of error. If you look at those diagrams, it appears that the phones are traveling together. It looks like they're at the same location. But if you listen to what his testimony says, one, there's a margin of error. He also goes on to say that
Tasha Turtle says, thanks for your coverage. Favorite channel. Here's to drink some coffee. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Location of the phones when the mapping tends to show.
You're the vice racks for about 2 seconds.
The maps alone.
Wolfram, release the dogs of redecorating.
These charts tend to place the phones together. As you heard the testimony, it looks like they're overlapping. However, he also testified that even though it shows that the phones are together, there's this band that the phone could be on this end of the band, or the other phone could be on this end of the band. And I believe that precision is over miles. I would state that it's misleading and highly prejudicial to a jury to be admitted. And I would also remind the court, I thought we had addressed this yesterday, and you stated that his reports were not going to be coming in.
Thank you for
and
unlocking
she does bring up the 403 on the test.
Doggo cam.
If I look at this case law that she goes through,
now we have the
4 is not met.
cut cam achievement here.
To section 90.403 Florida statutes, the evidence, although technically relevant, must not present a substantial danger of unfair prejudice that outweighs its probative value, and that's exactly what these demonstrative charts are doing.
Thank you. Anything else from the defense?
No, Judge.
Anything else from the state?
Just relying on the case law.
Thank you. Counsel, it appears to me that, we talked the other day about the report per se, not coming into evidence. Counsel just wanted, my understanding, to minute wholesale, and I said, I didn't think that was appropriate, and I sustained the objection to put that in there. But that's different from the maps and things like that. It appears to me that it meets all the criteria as stated in the case that counsel provided here, and the witness identified it, he spoke about it, he explained it, and I don't disagree with you that he said it's not a, there are some variances in it, and that's been brought out in direct examination. I'm sure you're going to bring it out in cross-examination as well. I don't believe there's any 403 analysis that's not some type of unfair prejudice, substantial chance of unfair prejudice or anything along those lines. This is exactly what he testified. So I didn't objection on his open. These are items QQQ, RRR, and SSS that be admitted.
All right, that
Jury
bit,
proceed.
that big long objection was unnecessary. It was overruled.
Let's get the jury in.
Bring the jury back in. Phoebe Furr says, Jeff, is she a good lawyer too? She's making decent arguments, just not as polished as the other two.
Yeah, she's okay.
She wasn't horrible. Right. I'd rather watch my little puppy dog sleep than this trial. And we can spin it around on Yoda over here. Yoda's nesting.
Aw. So cuddled. Yeah, I prefer the male attorney to the female attorney. Actually, both male attorneys.
The other dog is on camera right now. I'm sorry, Chandler, I didn't hear you over the ambient noise.
Oh, I was just saying that I prefer the male attorneys to the female attorney. Call me a pick-me for that, but I just think they're better. Based on the substance of their arguments and their presentation.
Would have to agree.
And I was going to say earlier, the point of an expert witness is to make things easier for the jury to understand and explain it in terms that a layman can process. And I feel like if you can't do that as an expert witness, you're not a very good expert witness.
Thank you. Please be seated. Let the record once again reflect the verdict of the defendant.
Yeah. It should be explainable to the lay jury.
Collins remains on the stand. Ladies and gentlemen, outside the president, the state offered items QQQ, RRR, and SSS. The correct. All right.
Furthermore, if you're the prosecution and you haven't prepared that witness properly, then it doesn't reflect well on you either.
RRR will be 66, and state's SSS will be 67.
Thank you. Counsel jury, may proceed.
Thank you. Okay. Special Agent Collins, I want to go through on some of the timing advance records. And just so for the purposes of.
With Yoda and strawberry costume. I have Yoda costume for Yoda and a Darth Vader costume.
140, 141, 142, and 143
Oh, that's cute.
of
I
the
love it.
772, 713, 98.
And a Superman and Wonder Woman costume.
Phone records. The latitude and longitude you mentioned, and this would be covering the
It's
time
very
from
gendered.
3:48 a.m. through 3:52 a.m. You indicated that the latitude and longitude are the first columns that are put there.
Here we go
And then
again.
the next column, column C, is called confidence.
Yes.
What does the confidence column modify?
It refers to columns A and B.
So is there a
One
numerical
from column A,
value
one from column B.
that's assigned to the low, high, and medium data entries in column C, the confidence?
So confidence, it refers to, like, that's T-Mobile's determination of, based on the number of data points that they have used to derive or estimate the device's location with that latitude and longitude, refers to, or it gives it confidence of like low, medium, or high based on the number of data points, basically.
And in terms of, do you use that in any way, shape, or form to testify to where you are placing the phone in your analysis?
No.
Okay. The question as to the difference between accuracy and precision, can you explain that?
Sure. So precise, I guess, would be much more narrow. In other words, the latitude and longitude what we were just talking about, like that is incredibly precise. That refers to like a particular point on Earth. But it may not be completely accurate. Right? There could be a margin of error in it. So, for instance, if there's a margin of error that says, okay.
And what is that
give
margin
me
of
a
error?
Precise point, a particular latitude and longitude coordinates, but my margin of error is
That's a good question.
800 meters. Well, that might not be very accurate. What you're saying is it's somewhere within an 800 meter radius of this actually come up with an achievement point. So I guess precise would be very small, accurate, whether it's reliable or not. In other words, like a cell site used by the phone to make a call, for instance, that's not a very precise area. We're talking about a general coverage area of an antenna, but it's completely accurate. There's no denying that is the cell site that the phone saw as the cell sector that gave it the clearest, strongest signal. So it's very, very accurate. It's not very precise.
It's very, very accurate, but not very precise. What the hell does that mean?
It would just be publishing for state 64.
I don't know. That's a completely contradictory statement.
What the hell does that mean?
I mean, perhaps it's like saying that the submarine landed somewhere in the ocean, which is accurate, but we can't figure out the precise location of
The
it.
top number, the 954-376-9158, is that the cell phone that you did the analysis on? One of them?
Like it's true,
One of the phone numbers.
Yes.
but not pinpointed? I don't know. Forget it.
For the record, publishing for
I'm
state
trying.
64, contact list for the
I'm
phone
trying,
number
Ron, I'm trying.
954-376-9158 from the phone extraction 772-713-9807.
If it's not precise, then how can we rely on it? It's illogical.
Well, it's accurate to say that Jeff is in South Korea. It's not precise to say that's where he lives.
No further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Oh, for finally, Jesus.
Thank you, counsel. You have any cross-examination?
Please say no.
I do have a cross-examination, Judge. But if you remember before court, I had asked that we take a break before.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Why don't you come side by side?
It's lunchtime.
Yes, well, we want precision. You know, I guess that's a legitimate analogy. It's accurate but not precise to say that I live here. But
Counsel, 2 minutes to set up, and my thought is we just take a lunch and recess now. So do not discuss the case. Don't form any opinion about the case. Don't allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence. Do any research. It's now looks like 5 to 12. So how about if we see everybody back here 1:15? All right, does that give you enough time? Yep. All right, 1:15 for lunch. Remember, don't discuss the case. No research. Just leave your notepads on your chair.
oh, I'm so happy.
Ready for another dull witness?
Oh no, it's lunchtime. We're
Oh, it
done.
is? Oh,
Yes.
thank goodness. Oh, that was really brutal for a really short period of time. You made it better, but I hate it. I hate this trial. It's not a good one.
No, it's a great trial. And everybody should stick around here and keep watching my stream.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to watch it without you. I'm just saying, like, you make it more fun.
And you look very reflective, very excused, Counsel Manuel, defendant.
I would
Any
really turn it
discuss-
off
Ladies, no?
without your commentary.
All right, so
If
see
I was a
you back
viewer.
at 1:15. All right. 10 minutes lunch.
Excuse me, but
I like how they close up on the eagle this time.
It's happening with Harper. I think he's trying to say it's accurate as it shows which tower the phone used, but it's not precise as to how far away the phone was when it was used. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's reliable data that this definitely is the tower, but we can't precisely, measure the distance, right? Something like that.
Yeah, but you're trying to murder. You're trying to kill number. You're trying to kill someone. The state is trying to kill someone based on imprecise and possibly not so accurate evidence.
Yes, well,
I find
I
that
mean,
disturbing.
well, I mean, the thing is that there wasn't cross-examination, right? So they didn't really have
Yeah.
anything to challenge that expert on. So if they say that it's accurate and defense doesn't challenge them, then can we
Well,
rely on the accuracy?
That's
Is
what we
defense
get.
saying that?
Well, they're going to cross-examine after lunch, so
Oh, they are? Oh, I thought they weren't going to do cross. Okay.
it's just going to take a while to set up.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, then maybe we'll see during cross how accurate it actually is.
And let's see, Rosie 1. Jeff, I'm attempting to adopt a bulldog from a bulldog rescue here in Colorado. He's 5 years old. Any advice as a bulldog parent? I'm really excited. Depends what kind of a bulldog. If you're talking English bulldog, rescues are difficult because you don't know their history.
True.
I mean, by and large, English bulldogs are incredibly unaggressive, but you just don't know what happened before, and some things can snap. Health, you don't know the health history, and English bulldogs are some of the most unhealthy dogs on planet Earth, and you need to be prepared to shell out a huge amount of money. According to my vet, my two dogs are incredibly healthy, and I probably spend $150 a month on their medical bills and visits to the vet and whatnot for ears and skin problems and this, that, and the other. They're if it's an English bulldog, I don't know what other kind of bulldog you might be looking at, but if it's an English bulldog, have fun. Love them. Be careful. Be wary, and get ready to shell out some money. But they're worth it.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah, rescues are such a sad thing because they're just all bets are off. You just don't know anything about them.
True.
Could have been highly abused. They could have been abandoned.
Which is why a lot of generous people, will take them in who have patience for that. Very sweet, but sometimes you don't want a pet who you want to get like a puppy or so it's lovely to adopt a dog that's 5 years old. That's that takes some dedication to figuring out that animal's needs.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing, they don't live long. They can drop dead at any moment. Bulldogs live 8 to 10 years.
I had a friend who had a Frenchie who died when he was I think 4. So that's true.
English bulldogs drop dead for no reason.
They have a lot of health problems, I've heard, and they're very sensitive skin, and
the heat stroke and drowning are the two biggest causes of death, really. The Dane Pack, thank you so much for your $10 super chat. I was telling my friend about this case. When I got to the mistrial part, he asked, what were the odds or the prosecution is being bribed to lose the case? 0.
No, they're far too aggressive to indicate anything like that. If somebody got bribed to lose a case, I mean, they would probably just phone it in, wing it, not really put that much effort or energy, theoretically, from a layman's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, no, neither side is taking bribes. Neither side is trying to throw the case.
I don't see that, no.
Because if there was ever any evidence they were doing that, they'd lose their licenses. And if they were taking bribes, they would quite possibly go to jail for a very long time.
Oh yes, you'd be disbarred immediately.
Yeah.
It's highly unethical. No, what I think that they're doing is they're putting on the best case that they can, and it just doesn't have much substance. So they're putting in all these filler witnesses that don't really have a lot to say. They don't have a lot that they're going on, based on what I've seen. Now again, I haven't watched from the beginning, so Jeff, would you agree with that?
So far. I mean, maybe the cell tower stuff means something, but again, you've got to stop looking at all the individual trees and start making it look like a forest. You got to start painting a big picture, how all this comes together. Because really, you just show, okay, here's the path that person A took, here's the path person B took. I think for introducing this kind of testimony, I think the way the prosecutor in the Darrell Brooks case did it was amazing. You just put out the map. They kind of did it with the map and the spots where things happened, but they're just all over. They're getting into all these weird diagrams and things and cell tower numbers and all this. Just say, look, at two whatever, at this time they were together. At this time they were together. At this time they branched off. At this time calls were made from different locations, then they made up again. Just do that. Don't get into all of this other extraneous stuff that's going to bore people that doesn't really matter and doesn't affect it. Just what are the important, every question you ask should be designed on moving the case in the direction you want it to go. Exactly. Every document, every map, every demonstrative, every piece of evidence you show in every question should lead you towards your ultimate goal.
I have a lot to say about this, but I can abbreviate it.
And I don't know how any of this does, really. Yeah, they went to the school of Murdoch prosecution. Murdoch prosecution wasn't this bad. They didn't go through all of this level of cell phone explanations.
Murdoch prosecution was organized, but I think that they had far too many witnesses. The way that
Well, that just became a financial trial too.
The way that I see it, if I may share, or I don't mean to interrupt if you have more to say.
Nope.
Okay. So there are a couple of things here. First of all, I think that it's really important when you're being efficient as a prosecutor that you're putting on witnesses that are going to represent important information to the jury that they can use to make a decision about the substantive issues in the case. They're deciding, is this man guilty of murder? Every witness you put on should answer that question. They should answer that question easily and readily, and there shouldn't be a lot of fluff and filler and stuff in there. And I think that generally speaking, when anybody does this thing where they put a lot of academic language into stuff and they speak in words that you can't understand, unfortunately, the problem is sometimes that person might have something meaningful to say, but if they can't translate it for an audience that doesn't understand that language, it's going to get lost in translation. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the time, when people do things like that, they're doing it to cover up the fact that they don't actually have a lot to say and to make themselves sound smarter. If you really have something meaningful to communicate to the jury, you should be able to say it briefly and in a readily comprehensible and digestible way. And so if you can't do that with the jury, like Shannon Curry, she was an awesome expert witness.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to take very complicated stuff and make it easy for a jury to understand. I've never seen one of these cell phone expert guys be able to do that in a way that's entertaining, because I think they're boring as hell. And I don't think that they really have big personalities or, but you have to have just, it's unfortunate. I just think a good expert witness should be able to make a jury understand what's meaningful without putting in all this extra stuff, basically. And so what you're saying about the Darrell Brooks trial, that's exactly accurate. It's just stuff the jury can understand, stuff that makes them, answer the question, yes or no. Is this guy guilty of murder?
You don't have to break down the truck's engine, what color of red paint it was, how many revolutions per minute the tires make when they're going at certain speeds. You don't need that in.
No, it's too many details. Like, that's what I learned in my paralegal program, is that, like, when you are writing a brief for anything, and I'm sure that everybody learns this in law school, legal writing, it should have brevity. You should only introduce the key facts that are pertinent. You shouldn't be putting in all this other stuff. Otherwise, everything gets jumbled up and confusing. If you can't do that, you're a bad lawyer. I'm sorry, you just are.
Well, and that's the problem that we'll have with, they had with the O.J. Simpson case, presenting the DNA evidence. DNA evidence was very young at the point of the O.J. Simpson trial, and they spent 2 solid weeks, full days, describing DNA evidence.
Yeah, it was convoluted.
And it destroyed. I remember watching it thinking, okay, the jurors are lost. There's no way. And so, that's how cases are won and lost. You, which is what I think they're doing here, putting all of this evidence on. It was the same as the O.J. Simpson prosecutors putting on 2 weeks of this. This is what DNA is. This is what it is. These are the odds that are involved in having 2 people with the same. They go through all of it, and the jury's like, RNA, DNA, this test, that test, and they're just befuddled. And then they get someone go up and go, look, the glove doesn't fit. Mm-hmm. And they go, we understand that.
Exactly. I mean, an audience today, or a jury today, might understand the DNA stuff from OJ because of like CSI. But at the time, it just didn't make sense. It's a challenge, I'm sure, to like break stuff down in a way that makes sense to the jury. Sometimes your technical knowledge is so complicated, you can't figure out how to tell people who've never heard anything about that. Like, you're too smart, sort of.
Drex in the chat. What's up, Drexel?
Oh, hey, Drex.
Welcome, my brother. Good to see you here.
Anyway, I'm talking a lot, but that's just that's my take.
Didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to. Good morning, good afternoon, night, y'all. Yeah, I was going to saw Drex pop in there. I just thought we'd give him a big shout out. Howdy, sir. Yeah, well, here's what's going to happen. We're going to shut this down. We're going to call it a day, and tomorrow, this is how we did the first 5 days, and this is how we're going to continue doing it until I just can't do this anymore. Which may
until you're tired of it. Just sick and tired.
What's going to happen is tomorrow we'll come back. We'll start it with the afternoon session at 1.25 speed. And what I'm going to be doing is I'll be watching the afternoon session during, just in the background while I'm at work, and kind of making notes of the parts we can skip And it may be the whole damn thing. If it's like this today, we're going to skip the whole damn thing. Because if I can summarize it by saying, well, this person and this person were together at the same time, that's all I'm going to do. We're not going to watch it. But we'll give it a crack. 1.25 speed. We'll burn through it, skip past all the sidebars, all the breaks, and that'll bring us up to however soon we get up to live speed for the morning. And then once we're finished with the afternoon, we'll start doing the morning session tomorrow at 1.25 speed until we catch up to normal speed, until we catch up live. Then we'll go to lunch and we'll do it all again the next day. So that's how we've been doing it. And we'll keep doing that. Like I said, for as long as you want me to do it, for as long as it's worth it for me to do it. And I hate to say I am talking financially. Cough, cough, cough. Because at some point, I like sleep too. So here's what we'll do from 8 a.m. If Chandler can wake up that early, 8 a.m. Eastern time. What's that, like 5 a.m.?
Yep, it's 5. I can do it.
765. We'll do an hour of O.J. Simpson with Barry Scheck recrossing Dennis Fung. We'll watch that. We'll watch O.J. Simpson for an hour. We'll come back at 9 a.m. Eastern. We will start We'll start this afternoon's trial. Like I said, we'll burn through it as quickly as possible. We'll catch up to the morning stream, and then we'll follow the morning stream until lunchtime, and we'll call that a day. And let's see, today is Wednesday, so it's Thursday here now, which means there's only one more day of trial this week. Tomorrow will be it. There are no trial. The court does not hold this hearing on Friday. He does Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and he takes care of other cases on Friday. So one more day this week, and then what you do not want to do is you do not want to miss next week's Maritime Monday. Next week's Maritime Monday is going to be pretty darn epic. We'll be talking about the Titan submersible, and by then we'll know the outcome one way or the other. If they find them, congratulations. If not, we know they're doomed, and then it just becomes a recovery. They'll do that as long as they're able, and then if they still don't find them, it'll just be a mystery for the rest of time and eternity until somebody or something happens to stumble upon them somewhere. But we'll talk about that. We'll give the latest update and sort of how it all ended up, and I will have one of my dear friends who is the survivor of a submarine accident, and he'll be on to talk about maybe what was happening inside the submersible, what they may have been thinking, what some of the risks are, some of the design flaws. That there's more than one design flaw in the Titan, and he'll give his opinions. We'll talk about it a bit, and then we'll talk about the submarine accident that he survived and what they did and how it all turned out in some detail. So we'll be doing that Monday. So we'll start our Monday trial stream late. So 2 hours late. We'll start it at 11 a.m. Eastern. Because I don't want to miss this chance to sit down with my friend and talk about the Titan and his experiences on board a submarine. That's what we're doing. That'll take us through to next Monday. So we do have one more super chat here, which is Carlos247. Check out the suicide death of Garth Williams, MI6, who put himself in a suitcase. Great documentary. Was Sarah Boone anywhere around when that happened? I wonder?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think there's a song called "Man in a Suitcase" by I can't remember, but I always want to play it when I do Sarah Boone videos, and I feel like that's obviously gonna get copyright checked.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny.
There's Girlfriend in a Coma, but that's a different.
It's a little different. Yeah.
Which is a great song, by the way.
Oh, it's fantastic.
All right. Well, that's kind of where we are. That's what we have for today. Lunch break. If you want to go and see what's going on after lunch or whatnot, you're welcome to follow Law and Crime or anyone else that's following this. But come back tomorrow where we'll be doing this again. As long as I can take it, we'll do this. Let me see who is streaming live now that we can give a good raid to. Anybody have any idea of anybody we should dump into here? Otherwise, it will be who will be the lucky or unlucky recipient of where we're going. Bringing up the stream here. Customization. Add. Right now, the options that I see are, law of self-defense. He's talking about this case. So,
Oh, really?
Let's go to law and crime. No, not this case. I mean the submarine thing. Can you kill someone so you can survive? Awesome. That's one thing that we'll be talking about probably on Monday as well.
That's a fun one.
So,
yeah.
All right, everybody, let's do that. Let's all go over to Andrew Branca and give him a big old howdy. Tell him that Legal Vices is sending everybody over there, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you for joining Chandler. Everybody go to Remy_legal. Subscribe to Chandler Remington. Anything to say on the way out the door?
Thank you as always for having me. I love being here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
And I'll see you here tomorrow as well. Thank you so much for being here. Like, subscribe, follow, share, do all that other stuff. And tell Law of Self-Defense, Andrew Branca, hi from the Maritime Law Racks Legal Vices. Catch y'all later. Take care and have a good night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.